No, you're not a district employee. You can't. Somewhere. Yeah, that's great. Interesting. Okay, never heard that expression. I didn't know it was an industry. Yeah. This is one more example. Yes. What? A deplorable excess of personality. Oh, he's adorable. With his toe shoes.
Meeting to order.
My son.
7:14 p.m. Linda Kearns is on vacation this week, so she won't be here. I thought Ron would be here. I know he's in town. So we got pictures of it.
Bless you. You got a yellow one. This is a yellow one. Yeah, sure.
So,
motion to excuse Linda? Yeah, I'll make a motion to excuse Linda for vacation purpose.
all in favor?
Aye.
You want to get a flag?
We have a flag.
You want to do the pledge of allegiance now? Ready to begin? Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure.
I'd like to thank you
Here, I'll get you one.
Anybody have any comment they want to make on any topic that's not on the agenda? Judy.
Yes, thank you. I need to get up there, though. Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. I'm going to read and then present this letter to the board. I am doing so publicly because it is in response to an email that was sent publicly through the community, first by Ms. Lisa Collins and then by Director Swisek. To the board of the SMRPD from Judy Bruno, resident Silverado Canyon, August 26, 2014. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. Subject: response to email dated July 31st, 2014, titled Joel, the Abbey, and the Silverado Film Festival, sent to this board by Lisa Collins, and the remarks added to this email and sent to the public by Director Swisek. 1. Since Director Swisek added his own comments to the email sent by Ms. Collins to the board of the SMRPD, which served to support and encourage Ms. Collins' attack on Mr. Robinson, adding further unsubstantiated accusations in which he thereafter disseminated to the public as a director of this board, I respectfully request that this board of the SMRPD as a whole write a public letter of apology to Mr. Robinson and hope for your sake he will accept this apology. 2. Since Director Swisek, by adding his comments to the email referenced above, and therefore disseminating those comments to the public as a director of this board, I respectfully request that the board of the SMRPD as a whole write a public response to this email from Lisa Collins and address her request that this board cut all ties with Mr. Robinson. I also request that these two letters be completed and made public at the September meeting of this board. 4, I also respectfully request again the resignation of Director Smizek for abusing his position as a director on this board by issuing this email referenced above on behalf of the entire board and therefore all the residents of this community which served to support Ms. Collins' attack on Mr. Robinson with unproven accusations and subsequently sending those remarks to the public. You might want, if you haven't already done so, consult your attorneys on this matter and bring up libel per se, civic rights, and the FPPC ethics and government code, which states a director of an agency must not ever use their position of power to help or to hurt another for their own interest. Since this is now the second time Director Smizek has been caught misusing his power in such a way, his resignation can only benefit this community. I have CC'd this letter and the attached email to Todd Spitzer, the County Board of Supervisors. Thank you. I do have copies of this email I brought because I know some people might not have received it. You all know there's a lot I could say.
Your time's almost up. Can you wrap it up for us?
Yes. The only thing I will say is that no one will stand here and say that this kind of trash is good for our community in any way whatsoever. Please do not support it. Thank you.
Any other comments on any non-agendized topics?
Not nearly as exciting, perhaps, but when the great Silverado Mall was redone, I managed to rescue the window that had been painted. This is a piece of canyon history. The parts of it, the glass, although they did break it, it's all there. I would like to get SMRPD to help put this thing together in a frame, and we can put it, make room on one of these walls. The guy who painted it is, long gone, but it has been a part of Silverado, good grief, for the 40 years plus that I've been here. And I volunteered to do a lot of the work. Unfortunately, I am not a woodworker. You can give me a pile of wood and the finest tools, and I'll make you all the sawdust you want. Or firewood. So if the board could take that up, I'd be willing to kick in to help defray the cost of doing it. But I really would like to see that piece of history preserved. And I think that's reasonably non-controversial.
Have you taken that up with the Intercanyon League at all?
No, because this isn't Intercanyon League property. I'm suggesting that we put it up in one of the...
Oh, you want to put it up? Oh, okay.
Inside the building here, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Can we look at it first?
Yeah, I mean, we need to look at it because it is on plate window glass and it did break, and it's going to have to be covered with something so nobody can get onto the sharp edges. But
well, if it's in a frame, the edges can be, covered,
right. Oh yeah,
and protected. The crack that goes across it, once the two pieces of glass are pressed together in the frame, you won't be able to get cut on that. They won't stick out.
Which could do, Dick, is, I don't know if I could do it,
That's right, you're a glass wizard.
Joe Romano could probably take that on, and you could talk to him and put a piece of lead where the breaks are, so it would be, in essence, like a stained glass window, and it would be safer that way.
That's an interesting idea, thank you.
It's a historic crack now.
Yeah. And do we know anybody who's good at letting glass?
Would anybody that's got some ideas, talk to Dick, and then we'll put it on our agenda for next month. And Steve, maybe you could talk to him. I mean, we need to make sure it's safe. I know the thing weighs a ton. That the guys about killed themselves taking it out.
Yeah.
Steve, it's over at Glad Canyon.
Okay. I'll give it a run.
I think, Tom, you were trying to get together a museum kind of thing going?
We were talking about trying to get some artifacts from the community and making some sort of a display, but this is great.
Yeah,
Is
so
that-
I mean, that could work into that if we ever got a building or something like that.
Or temporarily here until we find a facility, but yes, that would be great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hi. Thanks for letting me speak tonight. My name is Robin Black. My husband's David Black. And I'm here representing the Honda Goldwing Road Riders Association, the quiet touring bike. It's an Orange County chapter, CA1Q. And I'm here to request the use of Silverado Park next year on a Sunday, April 19th, 2015. And that's the third Sunday in April, so it wouldn't interfere with the Silverado Pancake Breakfast, which we always come to, I think, for the past 15 years. It's been us.
Thank you.
Are you the blue guys?
Yeah, that's us, the turquoise
The
guys.
turquoise guys.
Well, this is something Steve would handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Is it good
Yeah,
with
it's
you?
a one-day
They need-
event.
I don't
the
have
whole
a problem
park.
with it.
you guys need the whole park, right? Or do you need do you need the buildings too? Or?
Don't really need the buildings unless we would possibly need more restrooms, or I could get in a porta potty.
And how many people do you think you're expecting?
Actually, about 200.
About 200, okay.
That's fine.
So yeah, if you work it out with Steve, that should be great. And I mean, it could mean that the park's closed for everybody else that day. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, we have some new policies that will affect it.
Okay. So Steve will be your main person.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been talking to him.
We're
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Is
we
that
seem to be
okay? Is
good.
that okay to close the park for the day for an event? I'm asking you guys, not somebody.
Well, it's something in our policy about if they want to, we think it costs more money.
Okay. All right. We'll figure it out then.
Yeah, great, thank
Great.
you.
Is your group a nonprofit or just for
Not for
fun?
profit. We're not for profit. Yeah.
Oh, C4. Are you C4?
C4?
Yes.
Not C4, you're not.
501.
501c4.
Yeah.
You're right.
They have been great supporters of the pancake breakfast. We always leave space in front for them.
Yeah.
And I take it you won't need help with parking.
Oh no, we won't have any guys with the bright orange vests. Oh no, we'll have them way up the canyon.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being a former Goldwing rider,
Oh.
I support it.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So I'll talk with you later.
We'll have that, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Lisa.
I'm wondering what's the best way to rebut the claims that Judy continues to make about me publicly. I brought a lot of information tonight that I can present to the board backing up why I asked for Joel's resignation, but I would rather prepare a letter and respond with fact by fact reasons how and why I feel like he's done everything to undermine the SMRPD. So I'm wondering if I can respond to her comments to you, and then I can publicly email out my response.
Yeah, the letter would be better because then we have it. So maybe prepare something and submit it at the next meeting, either regular meeting or special meeting, whichever one's first.
Perfect.
There was another hand somewhere in the back. All right.
No, I do.
Dennis, were you going to talk about that?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll talk. I got a big mouth.
It's public comment.
Hey, I want to, oh, it's open call, okay, good. Well, I wanted to update you on what the farmers are doing, and the gardeners, okay? We had an amazing time last week. We had a harvest farmer's market. It was kind of small because, again, we are kind of up against the great events that you guys have here. We apologize for that. It was some of the people, some of the performers and some of the people that are involved in that had to request the 16th. So I apologize for that. But we had a great time. A lot of farmers came. If you don't know what the whole master plan of that farm get-together was, is that at the beginning of the season we had a seed exchange. And so in that seed exchange, the people that had joined in the seed exchange bought seed. They traded with one another. And then their goal was to grow something that the other farmers weren't growing. Okay? And so that at the end, at the harvest time, we would then have food. Right? So then we'd have a big spread and we'd have a potluck of the things that we made. So that's what we did. I grew some beans and some other stuff. Some people grew tomatoes. Some other people grew cucumbers. Other people grew peppers. And so then you made a dish of that. And then we had the first farmers, harvest farmers lunch table. We had about 13 people that came. We had a nice setup. We had actually a zero waste kind of event. And then historically we've always had the hootenanny after that. So that's kind of like we had the farmer's market and the hootenanny. So the hootenanny came after that. And I want to thank everyone that participated in that. That was a fun time. So if you've been seeing some emails going around, you want to be part of that, just say I want to be on that list, and I'll continue to send that out. The newest thing is that people are wanting to know how come we don't have monthly meetings, and it's pretty much because I hate meetings. So if you want to put input, say I'd like to have a monthly meeting, let me know. I'll make a list of those people who want to have monthly meetings, and then pros and cons. You got to weigh that out, make sure it's good, and then maybe we'll do that. Okay. So that's what happened. And then also, I want to make a little comment about something that was posted in the regular postings that go flying around this neighborhood. There's this guy, Dennis McHale, that's been going to these meetings and stuff. And I'm not sure who that guy really is, but Dennis McHale has only met with the Chapmans, and we've roughly discussed a farmer's market for the Children's Center, but that was just a rough meeting. I haven't met with anybody else. Dennis McHale. Now, Dennis McHale might be meeting with some other people, but Dennis McHale hasn't only met with the Chapmans about the possibility of a farmer's market, actually a growers' society kind of market at the Children's Center. So,
thanks, Dennis. All right.
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is pertaining to something that's not on the agenda, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. When we voted to, in closed session, our board voted to hire a new director for that for that Silverado Children's Center. And I recently found out that there was a third resume that was sent to the board that the board directors never received. And I would like to direct this at President Greg Bates, who, it was told to me, received that third resume. And I would like Greg to respond in his time to the public and to the board what happened with that third resume and why the public process was stopped, that someone like me, wanting to know everyone who was interested in the position of directing the Silverado Children's Center, I was not made aware of that resume and able to vote accordingly. So I have that request for you. And it's public comment, so you don't have to answer right now.
Okay, well,
So.
maybe we can talk to me a little bit more about it. And I can answer later.
We want to know.
Well, it's public. If we send out, put the word out that we're collecting resumes or applications for a job position that we're hiring, it's my belief, and I would imagine it's the belief of the public, that all of those make it to the board of directors who are making that decision. And when they don't, and then you find out later, after the vote's gone down, that there was someone, and that process is impeded.
Can I ask at what date was the resume sent to the board?
I don't have a date. It was before the actual vote.
Jenny,
May I say who it is that sent the resume in?
why don't you just finish reading your whole letter? start at the beginning, or start?
Well, I'm not
where you
reading,
stop?
I'm not reading the whole thing. I just wrote this for myself to remember what to say.
Oh.
I would like you to answer to the public and to the board what happened with the third resume.
Could you identify who it is, though?
It was a longtime previous director, Judy Lockridge.
Yeah, I asked about that a while back.
Yeah, that would have been a really big deal to the community.
I would
I
love
think
to have
in light of the situation at the Children's Center and the fresh wind of hope and cooperation and everything, to have someone that gave 15 years of her time to this community, it would have been. I mean, I was really surprised. I was surprised, and I would have liked to have known that.
So I do apologize for the interruption, but I just want to make clear, like, when was the resume sent? Why is it just now in September being followed up on?
I just found out this week about it myself.
What's
So
the
I'm
date,
bringing
what's
up
the date on the
public comment.
presentation letter?
What?
There's no date on that resume?
Oh, this isn't it. This is my own letter.
It's her notes
This is just my note to myself.
Where is the resume? Does anybody know?
That's what I'm asking for.
How do you know it exists then? How did you find out that it exists when the rest of the board didn't?
Well, let's.
It went to the president.
Hi.
Never went anywhere.
No, wait, that's the question.
Well, I might be able to be helpful in that. On April 28th, I heard firsthand from a person who met with you, Greg, at Mrs. B's consignment. And she mentioned that you were going to need a new director at that time, or that you had just hired a new director. And she said, oh, what about Judy Lockridge? And you said, well, actually, she did send in her resume, but my wife, you know, she said it's probably not a good idea to consider hiring somebody who had been let go in the past. So you knew about it on April 28th.
Yeah, so the information I got talking to my wife, who's a retired attorney, is that, and who did personnel for years and years at some big corporations, is you usually do never hire somebody who's been let go from a position.
Well, if she was let go under mysterious circumstances, number one. Number two, it's not up to your wife to decide what was on with this board.
Right.
Yes.
Can I interject that that's just hearsay?
No,
And not actual?
I got her.
I
got her resume.
I talked to this person
Yeah.
2 days ago.
So what happened to it?
That was what I decided, is that we aren't going to hire somebody who had been
So
fired.
you decided
under-
without the rest of the board is what you're saying?
He didn't tell anybody else.
You didn't tell anybody?
That's
made
a
that-
unilateral decision made by one director when 5
Exactly.
directors are supposed to make that decision.
So
If it was a decision of the board not to bring someone back in,
no, I get what you're saying. The
I
question
want
is
to be
why.
part of that decision that I am elected to do.
So the
I'm
question
very
is,
frustrated
question is,
that
why
I
would you
am
do that,
elected to
Greg?
make those decisions, and I'm not able to get information from particular members of this board. So,
For exactly the reason that I stated. Is that she'd been let go under very strenuous circumstances by a prior board, and that's not something that you do, is you don't hire somebody
But
back
that's the board's
who's
decision,
had.
not yours, to make by yourself. That's the board's decision.
And that's true.
Are you the board? I mean, after 4 years, you think you guys
Bill?
would get it.
Greg, the standard, I've hired dozens of people, I've had, unfortunately, fired dozens of people. Kind of a standard practice when you've got a job opening like this is you receive resumes, you review them as a group, and then you keep a file of this on record, and then you, of course, respond to everyone, usually in a letter saying, you know, thank you, but no thank you. Did you follow that kind of standard management procedure?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So I apologize, Shay, for not doing that to you. But the reason that I did was the reason that I stated.
But it's not your choice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
I need to say something here. You know, Brett, you know, I have a problem with that statement, because years back, I bid a job for the district, and you made a unilateral decision to not use my,
Oh, I don't think so.
oh, I guarantee it, you
What are
did.
you talking about?
I bid a job, and you gave it to a contractor that had no liability insurance and no workers' comp, and you sat there and told the board, oh yeah, I reviewed these, and this is the guy we want to go with. And there was no board discussion of that, and I didn't pitch a fit about it.
Okay, thanks, remember,
No, you did.
we're
I can't make that decision.
keeping all the discussion headed to
Bullshit.
us and through us. In the back, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Hi, my name is Lynn, and I'm just curious because there's a lot of banter back and forth here. Since you're the one who made the decision, what is your understanding of what the rule is or the process is whereby those kinds of decisions should be made? What do you think it is? Because I don't know what it is and I'm asking, but there seems to be some difference of opinion.
Well, I think I made a mistake.
Okay, sure.
And the problem, what it was, is what I told everybody, this is what and why, but I think I made a mistake and I should have brought it to the whole board.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, sorry. Jenny?
I know, thank you for saying that, and I saw that you apologized to Shay, but I really think you need to apologize to everybody because we lost a really good candidate that could have been an excellent director, and she didn't even get a shot at it. So you really owe an apology to everyone. It changed everything.
Well, I would apologize, except that as president, I talked to other people, and they agreed, and I made the decision based on input I got from several people that would be not the best decision.
They're not in the decision-making capability, though. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I made the decision, and I'm sorry if I made the wrong decision, but in consultation with quite a few people.
Could have affected a lot of people's lives.
So there.
Wow.
Kevin.
Yeah, I just want to say, I thought anytime you're accepting applications for anything, you need to keep those applications on file for 1 year. I thought you had to keep the application, because that person can come back, and if you don't even acknowledge the application or you destroyed it, they can actually sue you for not keeping the application.
That's true.
Not for any other reason that you had. So you're actually playing with it.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
I have two comments. I know that the community loved Judy, and she was a great teacher, but I also know that the board let her go because the board had to pay over $65,000 to fund the Children's Center. And I know their salary was much higher than what we currently could afford. So that's my one point regarding that. My second point is, excuse me?
Were you around then when she was here?
I was there when she was here. I don't know.
Go ahead. That's enough. Lisa has the floor.
My second comment is, I think that it's just really sad that we continue to fight on these issues that are past issues. And there's so much disrespect in this room about this. We have a director that is doing the best that she can with her staff, and it seems like there's nothing but attacks on the board for not doing things right instead of pulling together and trying to make things work. I mean, it's very sad that this is what we have to nitpick about something that happened over a year ago.
If the public process is not followed in the one public agency in our community, what can we trust here? That's my issue.
Absolutely.
What can we trust?
Yeah.
The public process, you guys pay taxes, I pay taxes. There are rules and regulations and policies, and we must follow them. We have to, or we don't belong on this side of the table. Someone else who's willing to follow them belongs on this side of the table. That's my issue.
That's enough.
This
is the last round on
If it would be okay with the board, I'd like to stand up and address. My name is Amiel Compton. I am a new member of the Silverado Children's Center, and I am so happy to be a part of it and so happy to serve the community. And I just want to make a statement saying that I was able to come up and volunteer when Shay was still a part of the Silverado Children's Center, and Miss Lori had just started not even a month into it. And I want to say that the improvements over this summer have been beautiful. The center is growing. There are children who are happy and love to be there. The buildings are newly refurbished. They have solid wood foundations. They have solid wood on the outside. They have new painting. There are new programs and activities that we are bringing to the community. Homeschooling programs that there are two beautiful, wonderful ladies who run it and are just so interested in what we can do to help the community and help our children. That is the whole point of the Children's Center, is to help the children of this community, the Santiago Canyon community, which is very strong and together, which is great, and it's so sad to see them divided. This is all about the children, and seeing these new improvements to the center where the children can use and access all the artistic and natural environments that we provide is astounding, and I am so glad to be a part of this. I'm so glad to have my own children to be a part of this, and I thank you for your time and your consideration, and thank you again.
How were you able to afford all the improvements? And when were you hired?
Yeah, this is an open session. This is to talk to the board about stuff.
Yeah, public comment is to address the board, not each other.
And how were they able to make all those improvements when Jenny couldn't do it before? She wasn't getting subsidized like they're getting subsidized now.
The buildings belong to the SMRPD. The buildings were falling apart. Anyone that's been there can tell you that. The place, when I first went over and saw it, I went home and the next day sent my cleaning guy over because there were dead spiders and dead flies in every single window.
But I mean, was Jenny getting the same subsidies as...
Jenny didn't ever run it. Jenny was a teacher.
But who was subsidizing it then? Nobody.
The place was decaying under their feet.
It was an orphan. It was an orphan.
As
Nobody
long
wanted
as they
it.
didn't bring anything to the board.
It was an orphan.
Judy, that's enough. So what we found is that they came to the board in last September and they said, gee, we're bankrupt, we don't have any money. And we're like, how do you not have any money? So the financials were coming in on an accrual basis. We switched them to a cash basis so you can see the actual cash in and out every month. So on an accrual, it didn't look so bad, but what we figured out was for the prior year, and Shay could probably answer better, that they had spent all the last savings that they had in the bank to fund the school without telling us there was anything wrong in that last year. So what I would say is we want that management team to come back, the one who didn't bother to tell us that they were spending the last cents that they had in the bank. Because what did they do? They came and we said, what can we do to help? Because none of us wanted to close the place.
Well, it seemed like there was a time when a lot of the same people who are really in support of the Children's Center were the ones who were actually against it and wanted to see it closed.
I don't think anybody on this board ever said that. In fact, I know it isn't because when it came up...
election year.
When it came up, what did you say?
I said because it's an election year, Mr. Bates.
No, this was last fall when we weren't even thinking about elections. So we would have that management team come back that let it get that bad. That's what I'm saying. So they came to us, they said we're broke. We went and looked and we said, this place looks like shit. We got, luckily I had the guy come in and we hired Lux Cleaning like the next day practically, very, very quickly. And she came in and cleaned, and then there was a site visit from the inspection people.
Didn't Jenny ask you for help?
No.
Well,
We never, no.
Jenny's a teacher.
Excuse me, I'm talking now. We had nobody come to us in the entire time that I've been on this board and say that there was a problem.
Mr. Bates, may I
No,
ask
you cannot.
You first
Please
went.
hold yourself. You're the first one up, though. I see your hand. You don't have to hold it up if you don't want to.
Thank you.
So, can you see my frustration? I've been on the board now 4 years. The third year, they come and they say we're broke. Well, I understand what happened is the prior board said there's no more money coming. We're never going to give you another penny, which, I can see that point exactly because they've spent. There was been a note for $65,000 that couldn't figure ever was going to get paid back. But we weren't just going to let it die. I mean, if they had said something before September 1st, maybe we would have said, okay, this isn't working. And Deborah Johnson gave us a lot of input and said, you guys have a hard road to hoe, and I don't think you can make it. And we're looking at it like, well, that's so negative. Like it looked really true, and we're still not out of the woods, honestly, everybody. We aren't going to really know until September's kids roll in if we're making it or if it's going to close. And the place, you know, right now, we've agreed to fund it through December, and that's it. January, December, anyway. By December, we're going to know where it's at. And we've told the staff that they're on their last, you know, this is it. So I see your hands, and I got it in my order. It'll be Judy, then Linda, then Joanne, then Deborah. So that's, and then Bob. So that's where we were at, and then, so I believe that those buildings belong to the Parks Board. We had to do something to fix them. I mean, you could put your hands through the wall. Tim sent his guys over to fix it, and he's like, look at this, and he put his hand through the wall. I'm like, don't do that. He goes, Greg, it's not holding water out anyway. So the place is just, the place just looks great now. And it was a matter of asking for help. And I have email from Shay that says to a lady who wanted to be our director, don't tell the board anything. We're keeping this out of the board. Don't let the board get involved.
No,
Yes, I'll bring it back if you'd like it.
That's hearsay of an email, that's not what I
That's not
said.
hearsay. That's exactly your writing to her in the email, and I will bring it again if you'd like to see it again.
That was on the website. That was hands in the website, running the website.
Yeah.
That's a whole different
It was
issue.
keep the board in the dark. We haven't let the board be
No,
involved
that
in
is
this.
not what it said.
I'll bring
It said,
it.
don't let the
Okay,
board run the website.
We disagree with this topic. I'll bring the letter for next month. and everybody
Bring the letter,
can see it.
please.
We've already seen it.
So, that's where we're at. The buildings are ours. I'm going to propose later in the meeting today that the Parks District pay for the maintenance. You know, for all that, repair the walls, replace the windows, paint, gutters, and those kind of expenses. Because no matter what happens to the center, even if we close it as a children's center, there are buildings and we'll do something with them. So they had to be brought up to speed. I don't think that we should pay other bills for them. I mean, they're operating business and they need to make their utilities and all that stuff.
Haven't those bills already been paid?
What bills?
The ones that you're talking about?
Right, but I want to switch them from the children's center. Well, that's going to come up. I'm going to suggest that the board pay for those instead of the Parks District instead of the children's center. Okay, I'm sorry. So I got carried away. Judy, you're first.
Okay.
But we do need to get to the rest of the meeting, so maybe we could have a special meeting and really go into it more.
No.
You guys all think about what you do.
I have a, this is what I'd like to ask. July 22nd, Director Briggs gave a report.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, then ask me then, and I would like to speak. But one question I'd like to ask you: why is it took 3 years for this board to walk down to that children's center, walk through that children's center, when it is one of the primary jobs of the board of the SMRPD to be in control of that children's center?
Amy Breyer and whoever the executive director was in charge of the whole thing. And as far as we knew, everything was fine.
And you didn't bother.
Well, Director Bates was part of that management team.
Children's center director.
That was
Yeah.
Amy. She was
Amy,
the
yeah.
executive director.
Until then.
That's what I just said.
Shea Peters was part of the management team that put it in financial ruin. I'm just telling you.
Okay, let's keep all the comments up here. So that's where it was. Linda May, I think, was next.
Thank you, Greg. And I do think, I'm glad that the improvements were made. I think that was really good.
You're here.
The concern I have is that it's similar to what Judy said. You had 3 years of sitting around and not looking into it, not asking questions, not visiting it. When you took office, did you ever tour all the facilities and walk all the grounds? Did you ever look at the maintenance plans for all the assets? Did you ever look at an asset inventory? Did you ever do any of those kind of things? And I think the answer, and another classic thing that people do when they're new into an office, usually a management office, but in this case you wear those both hats, is you meet with all the personnel. You sit down, you have a one-on-one conversation with them. You talk to them, how's your job, what's going on, what do you want, what's happening, what are your plans, what are the problems, what should I look out for, what's going to happen. So the fact is you didn't do that.
Well, Linda, you know as well as I do that we got on the board in December 3rd, and there was a flood a week or two later, and you and I spent the next 2 years working everything together. So that's pretty much all I did, is getting Steve's home taken care of with your help, and that's what I did for the first 2 years. We had a trail meeting or two with Brett, and that's where my
And did you
focus
assign
was.
any of the other board members to do anything?
Well, let's go back then. Let's go back to the month before that we were elected. All this deferred maintenance has been going on the entire time, and so we're here now and we're taking care of it.
Well,
it took us a while to get to it. Yes, I see your point, but you and I know that I was busy doing that for the first years, and then I got to be president, and now we're looking at stuff different.
I just want to, the point I'm trying to make is that it is as unfair to blame the staff at Hine and the former board members as it is for you to think you're solely to blame. The fact is, it deteriorated, there were problems, a whole lot of people let it happen, so quit trying to shift the blame. You're putting your big boy pants on, you're trying to get at it now, so that's really good. But quit shifting the blame, come on.
Can I respond, Linda? Linda, I was on as a volunteer, I was on the advisory committee. I wasn't on the board yet, and I wasn't working at the Children's Center anymore. I left the Children's Center in 2012. And there weren't any park board directors that I know going to the Children's Center advisory committee meetings where Amy addressed the disarray of the buildings, and we were trying to get help, and we had our own meetings, and we were trying to get volunteers and everything, and we knew coming to the board for money was not something we were supposed to do for many, many, many years. So that's what happened. We were trying to do it on our own as an advisory committee.
Joanne.
I wanted to find out what y'all know about what we found out about Linda Kearns not telling people that there were 2 more violations and something like that, and the Children's Center asked for a whole lot more money, but didn't tell everybody that at the meeting. She said everything was hunky-dory. That's what we're going to bring up in a minute.
That's coming up in this meeting.
Yeah.
Deborah.
I just wanted to clarify something. You made the remark that I thought that it wouldn't survive, and I did that financial analysis at your request. I just want to make it clear that from 2010 to December 2013, I worked with Megan. I got all the financials. I had everything that was accurate. And it's in that little report that I wrote. The Children's Center only survived because of the extensive fundraising they did. They raised $12,000 a year on average, or they got it from the accident when the gate got hit, or whatever. And that is why the center was able to keep, not to go into a deficit. So when Amy left, I knew that there wasn't the staff there to continue doing the fundraising, and I did not and do not see, given the enrollment, but this is only as of December 2013, because I haven't looked at any financials since then, without that fundraising. Historically, that is what kept the center open.
Actually, what I read into it was the fundraising had been keeping the center open, but when the children enrolled dropped, and then the negative was like $2,000 a month, they spent all of their savings. I'm like, I wish
Right
they
when
would have
Amy
said
left.
something.
Right, Amy never, and when I was on the board too, Amy never disclosed the seriousness of the situation. She never did. And we did talk, I was on the advisory board, we did talk about the maintenance. Amy always had plans to fix it. She had parent days, she had people donating stuff, she set up people to do it. So it's not like this was totally ignored, but they were looking for the parents to do it, and parents were doing different things. So that's what happened.
So we're getting into way beyond public comment. So let's have like one comment or two, and then let's have a meeting where we'll talk about it more.
Talk about the board?
Talk about the Children's Center more. Lynn.
I just would like to know, you said that the board agreed to subsidize the Children's Center up until December, and you're going to reevaluate in January, correct? How much are you subsidizing them every month?
I think since September, it's about $30,000.
But how much is it, like, what are they in the red every month?
Well, at one point, it was like 6,000 a month.
Right.
It started out as a couple thousand a month, plummeted into like the 6,000, and it's back up to like 2,000, 1,700, 2,600 this month.
Okay, what's your operating budget for the year?
I
In
can't,
general, what's your budget?
We can't,
Isn't it
no,
about?
ours, it's about SMRPD.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
SMRPD, isn't it about $80,000 or something?
yeah, we're paying this out of reserves right now.
Okay, which is all funded taxpayer money, right? I'm just trying to
Yeah.
I'm just trying to kind of play the devil's advocate and say, wait a minute, how much of our taxpayer money of a very small budget is going to, it's a great place, but let's get realistic here. It's going to, how many people in the community are benefiting from this? That's what I'm looking at, in proportion to the amount of money that's being spent. And I'm hearing that it's all based on fundraising, or a lot of it is going to be based on fundraising to keep it open. I'm just trying to get the facts straight.
Yeah.
Like,
I
how
was
many
gonna
kids?
ask.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you have to have so many kids there to be able to keep it open? I mean, maybe you're throwing good money after bad. I don't know. You know, what kind of fundraising amount? I mean, what is really going on?
We have a director's report probably coming up.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, she's.
Can I say something?
Dennis, you okay to let it go on to the next part of the
I just
meeting?
have a small comment, okay? I think that we're all kind of digging up a lot of old stuff out of file cabinets. In reality, I think what happened at that time, having known kind of the whole history, is that the previous board had a philosophy from the input of the citizens who came to the meetings that they wanted a hands-off kind of operation. They wanted it to stand alone. In fact, we saw that not too recently when some of the constituents had said it needs to be an enterprise. And I vocally said, you need to decide if this is going to be an asset of the community and that this is something that you're going to take care of because, like you said, it's their building. It's your buildings, right? And I think going forward is where we need to go now. I don't think that we need to continue to kind of bring up some stuff about some financial mucky projections that Debbie did. I mean, it's like, that's kind of goofy stuff. Let's get on to what Lynn's saying is good. It's like, okay, let's identify what our needs are, right? Okay, so we need to have X amount of students, which I think you know. And then, if there's fundraising that needs to be done, what do we need to get above that? And then we put together a consensus plan, and then we go forward. This other stuff of bringing up all this other stuff is just trying on the soul.
That's what we're going to do now.
Okay, so
Bob's going to be our last comment, then we're going to go on to the agenda. Bob.
I'd like to make one comment that I think would cut through a lot of these questions that are being asked. And that is that all monies transferred to the enterprise fund, and that's what fixing the buildings is too, by the way, should be approved in open session with the amounts mentioned. That has not happened. A vote was made to support them through the end of the year, and money has been spent out of the sight of the public, and that's wrong. It needs to be done in open session with the voted board and the dollar amount.
I think it's on the report every month, but maybe we should vote on it in a better way.
You should vote on it.
Yeah. Right. You have one comment. You're going to be up.
I know, but I have something else. I did not create this mess. I'm just trying to clean it up.
Can you stand up and talk, or do you want to?
Since I started here as someone who's been in the child care field for a very long time, and I'm going to address you because I don't really want to address you. I've never walked into a child care and seen such a disheartening, disappointing place for children. It was a hoarder's. There are 2 bathrooms that we just finally gained access to because there were 6 microwaves, 5 computers. They were so stuffed with things. It has taken me almost 7 months to clean that place out, brought in my own personal volunteers to help clean it up, my own personal materials to clean it up and enrich it, and I'm not here for you people. I'm here for the kids and to make this a better place. And this place didn't get the way it was overnight, and it's not going to get out of it. We've done everything we can at this point to move forward and clean it up, and that's what we're doing. We have some amazing support from the community and our new programs, and that's what we're focused on, because it's only going to get better. So people just need to kind of relax and give us a chance to do our jobs, because as someone who's been in this field for a long time, I've never seen anything so disgusting as when I walked in this place. And what it looks like now is something I'm very proud of, because we've worked very hard. The maintenance on this place was obviously ignored for a very long time. I don't really understand why. That was before my time, and it's not my concern at this point. My concern is moving forward. And everything so far, aside from a lot of negative feedback from certain people, we have great support from some great people, and that's what we're focusing on, is the good people who are supporting us, and all we can do is move forward. Just give us the time to do what we as professionals know how to do, and yeah, it's very frustrating to hear people talk like this, and this, again, I did not create this mess. Whoever was there for a very long time knows exactly what happened and how long it took to get that way. And if you chose to not let the board in to see what was going on, or allegedly this board did not step in when they should have to take care of the facility, well, that's not my responsibility. But what it is now is, and all we can do is keep doing what we're doing, and everything right now is going great. It's great. So please just back off a little bit and let us do what we want to do so that we can provide an amazing, incredible place for the children of Orange County. Thank you.
Is that your report?
No, it's not my report.
Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar now. Does anybody want to pull anything off the consent calendar? Is there a motion to approve the...
I make the motion, we approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second? Second by Shay, all in favor? Bev, the vote is unanimous. Okay. Thank you. I know it's a lot of stuff, but we got to deal with it. We're at the Children's Center report.
I'll run through this as quickly as possible. Currently, we have 30 children, for the month of July, since that's what I'm reporting on, we had 30 children enrolled, 10 preschoolers, 20 school agers. Our upcoming grants and fundraisers for the Children's Center are a Rooster grant that's been awarded that we should be receiving in September of $9,000. From my understanding, the Silverado Country Fair has in the past always donated from their proceeds, so as far as I know, that's going to be a donation that we receive in October, although I don't know. We have the Wine and Dogs event planned for October. We have a Laura's House Hike and Hoedown in October, and we have the Victor's Pub and Grub Wine Dinner in November. In regard to facility and maintenance, we are currently renegotiating our contract with the SMRPD regarding expenses that we incur that are traditionally paid for by the SMRPD at other facilities. That includes deferred maintenance expenses. We're currently downsizing our waste management needs because we don't really need a big giant dumpster, so we're looking into that. We do have some safety concerns. The floors and carpets need to be replaced. We have a floor that's sinking in that needs to be addressed, and those are some safety concerns. Our tuition that we billed for July was $6,192. Our expenses were $8,808, so we have a variance of $2,616. We currently purchased a new child care software program which will allow less bookkeeping fees since tuition will be done in-house with real-time information, and we no longer accept cash, which is a really great thing. Previous computer hard drive was erased before I arrived at the center. I wasn't present when it was erased. All I know is I have no access to any kind of documentation that kind of was there before I was there. including things like medication forms, basic program forms I don't even have access to, so I've had to recreate all of them because the computer was basically empty. Linda Kearns and Ron Shepston have donated new laptop computers to us, which have been extremely helpful and will help support our new software program. I was recently given a box of documents and information from previous years, and any information, and that box of information will be reviewed by me, and anything relevant to anything we need in the future will be scanned and put on the system. And regarding the licensing update, regarding the complaint report and appeals, I know that Linda had a report that she was giving regarding that, but I know she's not here, so.
Can you summarize so that, because people want to know
What do they want to know? What were our complaints?
What was the complaints? What happened?
One of the major complaints was commingling, which is when you mingle preschool children with school-age children. When we receive a licensing report like this, we have to give it to all the families so they're aware of the concerns that licensing had regarding us, or the alleged concerns. One thing, when I handed this out to a number of families who were previously there, they were quite surprised to understand that preschoolers and school agers could not be commingled because that had happened for years. So they were quite surprised and actually disappointed because they felt that it was actually more beneficial to the program to have the children commingled. However, it's not legal and that's a health and safety issue.
And that's increased some of the cost, the teacher staff cost.
Yes, it has definitely increased our teacher costs because now, well, we have to have a school-age staff and a preschool staff.
So for everybody to think about, we've got to have school-age staff. So the other day I was in there was 2 preschoolers. So if you know anybody with preschoolers, we need more preschoolers because we have
preschoolers that are enrolling. We have our big open house and Thursday. At least 15 to 20 people that have inquired just about the preschool program that are coming to the open house.
So she's very optimistic. We all know that there's
the open house tomorrow night is from 4 to 6.
Yeah, let her do her report.
And yeah, so I'm gonna. Any other questions about licensing?
Yes, I have a question.
Oh, bring it on.
Excuse me?
Oh, bring it. Like, what do you want? What is your question?
Enrolled in your center.
30 children. Well, we have more. And
30 for how much a shortfall?
Licensing report.
Deborah.
It's really important. I have run children's centers for over 25 years all around the world, and you do not calculate it by the number of children, because there are children who go there for 1 hour, there are children who go for 4 hours, there are children who go there for 20 hours a week. So just getting it, and we had a form that calculated all the numbers of kids that the director turned in every month.
Yes.
By full-time equivalent.
Yes.
So what is really significant isn't the number of children. That's something that's good to know, but the full-time equivalent for understanding if the center can become self-supporting. And then the other thing, the way that the form was designed for the monthly reporting to the board, was how many were Canyon children and how many were not Canyon children. So those are the factors that historically have been important to the board and are important in a financial analysis. It's not number, it's full-time equivalent.
Well,
So have you calculated that, Lori?
Our full-time equivalent for summer camp is a little difficult because we have kids that come and go because we have kids who are there half days, got vacations, so it's based on a weekly. So no, I currently don't have those numbers.
What were the other places?
I had a question on licensing.
What's happened in licensing?
Go ahead.
First of all, you know, safety from licensing is not a huge thing. Your panties in a big bunch about it. It happens. Great center. They come in, and that's what when Linda Kearns was up there. Well, you know, there was no problems except she neglected to say that there was that very day of the meeting.
What was a lie?
It was a lie that you
have any problems with licensing.
It was a beautiful problem, and everybody clapped.
On a YouTube video.
It's on video.
So
responding to any licensing.
from what I understood is that they've both of those have been appealed, so we're
But you
waiting to
cannot
find
appeal
out.
a type A violation. I went down, I talked with Miss 2 visits, that's kind of strange, so I went and met with her personally. She gave me a copy. I've got a copy of everything in here. Every single thing that whoever called about is substantiated, except one thing, and that was giving the parents the information that a type A violation had occurred. And that one, that's neither unsubstantiated substantiated or it's kind of in the middle. They're waiting to see. They're coming back, I guess, to see if that is in. And on your agenda today, it says, let's talk about unfounded things.
No, let's not, we'll get there.
No,
when
I'm
we
just
get
saying
there.
it says that. These were not unfounded. They were all substantiated, and several of them have a fine. It could be quite a heavy fine on that. And I just wonder, why don't you let us know about that kind of thing? You know?
There's a lawsuit here that it seems totally inappropriate that Jenny is even addressing that since she's suing the board for these issues. I mean, I can't even believe.
I'm not suing the board for licensing, but yes.
And a member of the public.
Again, I stated, Linda has more detail because she is helping assist in handling the appeals and whatnot.
You signed the papers, Lori, right here.
Okay,
You did.
no, that's enough.
Okay.
Michelle. Wait, let me, sorry, hold on just a second. What else, do you have any more report for us?
Regarding the Children's Center report?
No,
Yes,
just-
I do.
I just have one under, my notes under complaints, I only have
Wait,
one
we're still
comment,
in-
so.
We're still in the middle of
Okay,
the-
I'm
finish
just
your
trying to get
report.
us back on task, that's all.
And speaking positively, we have our open house tomorrow night and Thursday. We have our community open house tomorrow, which opens the center up to the community. And I would like to introduce, if possible, Miss Wendy and Miss Heather, who are of our new program that starts next week. They're running. Okay.
We're gonna be part of it.
Yeah, and then we have Miss Kelly presenting our 4-H update.
So I met with Jason Suppies, who is the person who runs 4-H for the county. He came and visited our site. He's really excited about the possibilities of working with us. Our site would be a basically new concept in the realm of 4-H as it stands. Most 4-H's are based out of a general community setting, not so much as a school care facility setting. They do have after-school care programs implemented, but not in our county at this point. So what he's very excited about is that we have a permanent school site to offer after-school programs, specifically targeting students who have single parents or dual working parent households, so that they can have part in the extracurricular 4-H activities. Especially given the rural area that we're in, they can partake in the livestock activities. 4-H record keeping and activities are hugely weighted in the college application arena, so and it can be for students up to 19 years. He is going to bring in, because of our site being how large it is and where it is, he's going to bring in the University of California Master Gardener Program, and they are going to put our gardens in for us and financially subsidize that for us. They're also going to be working with the children, teaching them how to preserve seeds, how to build the gardens, how to safeguard the gardens. Also doing a food preservation program, which we have the full kitchen facilities on site. So those are all things that I know the homeschool group is very interested in. I'm sure members of the community are interested in. If anybody in the room has any interest in becoming a part of 4-H, there is a 4-H leadership training. You do have to go through fingerprinting and so on. But we'd love your advice and input if there's something that you would like to teach children or work with children in helping us to put 4-H into Silverado Children's Center. We would love to have your input. We are going to be opening 4-H as a preliminary sign-up at the open house on Wednesday and the Celebration Education open house on Thursday. Following that, there will be a to-be-announced leader training workshop provided by the University of California Cooperative Extension, where they will provide for fingerprinting free for all program volunteers. And mid-September, we have a to-be-announced date where we will have an official 4-H program sign-up for anybody that wants to be a part of it, enrolled or not. So we'd love to have you guys come out. We'd love to have you be a part of it. We'd love to have this be a huge addition into the Children's Center. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly at the center.
Nice. Celebration.
Oh, yes.
Can you guys tell us about what you're going to do?
I was just really excited because, well, my name is Heather.
Yeah, tell us who you are and what it
Yeah.
She's so excited she forgot.
I'm Heather Martinson, Wendy Eklund. Hi. We've been running Celebration Education, first started in 2006, up in Ukaipa, and it's spread to several counties by now. It's been a program for homeschoolers, and it's a real dynamic program where the kids come 2 hours a week, once a week, and a variety of activities that's folded into it's a lot of fun, a lot of hands-on, a lot of projects, tactile, that sort of thing. It's a great program. So, when Laurel heard what was going on in the center and was invited to bring homeschoolers in, she invited Wendy to come look at the place, and I tagged along, and Wendy and I just fell in love with Silverado Center.
Yeah.
We both left with the same feeling, like this is a great place. And so we not only wanted to bring the homeschoolers in, but we both had a dream for quite a while of having, even actually offering full-time school there. So we're actually, I don't know if you know, but we're actually going to be opening it up to grade school kids as well, to be a full-time program. So we're hoping that could bring more money.
More money in.
Yeah, so there's
the community.
Yes, so there's going to be the homeschool programs, but basically it's anywhere from 2 hours a week to a full week of school is what we're offering, and it's going to be so much fun. We've got so many great programs. We're not a standard school in any way. We are not a common school in any way. We have a very unique program that gets the kids, we address them as individuals, as unique individuals, every student. And that we'll help them find what they like to do and help them learn through what they're best at, what they like to do, their own intelligences, so to speak. So if you want to hear more about that, come to the open house tomorrow night. I'm going to be speaking
Thursday.
You're going to do both?
I'm doing both.
Never mind, come tomorrow. 2 chances to hear Heather talk.
So for the full-time school, I'm speaking tomorrow at 5. For the homeschool program, I'm speaking Thursday at 4. You got a question?
How are you doing that with licensing?
Oh, because we are actually a private school, we don't do the daycare licensing. It's a completely different thing.
Now, I understand that, but since they are licensed, I don't think you can have 2 facilities sharing the same space like that.
We're at different times. Yes. We're in the other building, and the preschool children are in this area. We're in the other area. It's gated off. So we're in 2 separate areas. So we're actually even having a complete different entrance.
We have a different entrance.
Yeah.
Which building are you going to use?
The
school age building. The school age building.
The bigger building.
The bigger building.
The 2-room building.
They swapped the preschools now in the front for a smaller building.
And then are you fencing it off so the children will not be?
It is fenced.
It is fenced.
Yeah.
So then how are you going to separate the other school-age children from the preschool children in the ongoing children's center?
They come after school.
Their
Right.
school is their
Oh,
school
your
day is
school's
done
gone then?
as our school ager, as the Silverado Children's Center enrolled school agers are arriving.
Yeah, that's correct.
Have you checked with licensing about this?
Yes, we have communicated with them, and as long as they're not commingling and they're in their own building that they're basically renting from us, it's acceptable.
Are we getting income from this?
Yes.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
So the community
Well, you know,
as a
we
whole
have
can benefit.
Right. Well, and it was just last month that this kind of dropped in our laps. So at this point, I mean, it's going to take time to build up, but we're real excited, and I really think it's a wonderful opportunity. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that in the homeschooling community, families like mine have all ages. I have a middle schooler, I have a 3rd grader, and I have a pre-K. He's not even in transitional K. He's in the children's center. I pay and he goes, and they care for his life. And so I trust them. I think that everything is going right here. Also, the idea was, since there are other homeschoolers with preschool-age children, getting this exposure for the children's center to bring up enrollment was really important. So it was. I have a a homeschool Facebook group that has 1,200 people on it. And this has been widely
In Orange
publicized.
County.
In Orange
In
County,
Orange
just
County.
in Orange County.
Okay.
1,200 people, and they're all invited to come and see the Children's Center and become paying
Now,
enrollees.
homeschool's great, and it's a good thing, but don't you need a contract with the board before you start advertising and stuff like that?
They're working on a contract with us right now.
The idea was to get money in.
To start it before you had a contract,
We've had a contract since we first met them.
that the board signed.
No, they're bringing it to the board still. They're working out all their details and they're gonna bring it to us.
Isn't that a little odd for them to be advertising and getting kids when they haven't signed an agreement with you and you don't know what the financial arrangements are gonna
It
be?
could be odd, but their risk is that we could say no and close it out. But I don't, so. Michelle, I'm sorry, you waited so
Go ahead.
long.
I just want to say I'm very impressed with the changes and innovations, and I love that idea, which was around when my kids were there. But I do know, only being here 11 years, that you can't say things like, I'm not here for you people, because you are. You're here for us. We have kids. I haven't sent my kids because I was just kind of iffy on what's going on up there. And I think that you can't forget the hours that we put in repainting those buildings, rebuilding those decks. Silverado is based on its history. It's not something you can brush off and say, I'm just here for the future. You have to be considerate of the community that you're in. And, the fundraiser made a lot of money, the chili cook-off, more than ever, because people want to help the center. It wasn't because we sold more tickets, it's because we all pulled together and gave money. It wasn't anything anyone did other than knowing it was going under, and we want to save it. We want it here. We want to wish you success, but we all need to be friendly and not, it feels adversarial in here. It's thick and it's uncomfortable, and, I just have my kids take the bus and go home, where I'd rather have them doing something constructive at the Children's Center.
Where do your kids go to?
Right now they go, they were at Chapman Hills, and I just had them take the bus and
I
go
heard
for an
that.
hour until I was there. Prior to that, they were at the Children's Center.
Well, the really cool news is that they worked out a deal with Orange Unified where the parents can give their kids bus passes and everybody from Chapman Hills can come. And Lori has refigured the after-school rates so that they're
I think it's a great idea.
so that they're the same, or they're not anymore. They're the same or lower than they are at
But we
Chapman
need
Hills.
to, I know it's uncomfortable for you, and there's a lot of, you feel being attacked by people, but you just kind of have to step back and look at the community. The community is a very cohesive community, even if you feel dissent once in a while. Everyone wants that center to succeed. It's a main draw for real estate. I wouldn't have moved here without a center. I wouldn't have moved here without a school, quite frankly. But the center is all we have now. It's
Really
worth
need to keep that going.
our
Yeah.
percentage of tax dollars, even if we don't have kids going in and keep it open, and that's all I have to say.
Michelle, what I've noticed is that the people who have historically always come and helped the Children's Center have all left and nobody's there. So all Lori is hearing is that this used to happen, but it's not happening anymore.
It needs to be friendly.
But nobody has extended any kind of a friendly hand to say, or to give history, because she doesn't know what she's doing. I mean, she doesn't know the history. She knows what she's doing in her job.
Yeah. Wait, I don't think you should say that, because I did try to, when I was there for a whole week,
glad to send her an
I tried to educate Lori.
So we need exactly what you said is what's got to happen, or if we're going to lose it. I mean, it's a valuable asset, and I think that's what the board recognized.
Greg,
You weren't first.
I was from the last time.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Somebody over here, Wendy, or one of you guys had a...
Wendy.
Yeah,
First of all, a lot of us did attend the first meeting at the school. I did. I volunteered a lot of time and effort, which I was not taken up on, which, to tell you the truth, thank goodness, because I got real busy. My personal thing has always been whatever is best for the community. I wasn't here during the blood, sweat, and tears for years ago. I have no children. I probably will not be there. But my question is, okay, and I haven't been keeping up on all this stuff because I've just been listening. On July 22nd, Director Briggs gave a report.
We're getting there. We're not there yet, thank you.
Well, tell me when we are.
You already asked me that, and I'm going to tell you when
And
we
I thought
are.
this was the part that we did that.
That's coming up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Let
you.
me know.
Linda,
I just a really quick little statement, which is that you said that the people that traditionally had been involved disappeared. Well, there are a couple of explanations for that. One is we had a really great community brainstorming session at which this idea for the homeschooling program came out in that session, and there were the brainstorming for the Chili fundraiser happened, and there was all kinds of stuff that happened.
Good meeting.
And it was a good meeting, and there's been no follow-up since then. So you've got a whole lot of people that had a lot of good ideas, no follow-up. And the second thing is, a lot of it is how people are treated. You can't expect people who have put their heart and soul into some place to get excited about going back there when there's been some incredibly hurtful, traumatic stuff going on. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wendy.
Okay, I know I was getting back, but Lori was cut off by something else, and she started to tell us about the complaints, which started this all off earlier, and I just have down that the only complaint was commingling, so I would like to know what the other complaints were.
Commingling, concern over the animal water, an employee, someone who was subbing for us who didn't have their proper clearance.
Somebody who was what?
I had someone who was subbing who had their live scan information. However, they had not worked in about a year and a half, 2 years. So their live scan number went invalid, which at the time I was unaware of because I've never had someone's live scan go invalid. So when we found out that day that this person's live scan went invalid, they went immediately and updated their live scan because they had to go get a brand new one. And this person is not a consistent employee, it's someone who's just been helping fill in when we had people on vacation and people who were sick.
So there are just 3 complaints.
I don't have the report on me. I'm trying to think right now.
Jenny, do you have it?
Yes, I have them.
Oh, it's right here. Jenny's got a copy of it.
There's a type A violations were quite serious and an imminent danger to the threat of children, perhaps in the school itself. Type B are,
Can you tell me what the imminent danger complaint was?
I don't know, that's just what it is. Oh, well, there was a child that was burned, 2nd degree burns, and had to be taken to the hospital.
Her parents sent her with a cup of noodle soup, which
Yes.
we warmed up. The child then went to eat her cup of noodle soup, which then spilled on her leg.
She was eating it on her lap. I asked her. But anyway, you didn't report that to licensing.
We were
Yes.
not found responsible for what happened to her. We were only advised that we needed to remind the staff of the importance of health and safety issues, which we now no longer have warm-ups, which some of these previous families said, oh, well, we've always been able to bring warm-ups, and we said, well, we can no longer do that because it's our concern for the safety of the children and heating up food. So it was a complete accident.
You need to report those to licensing within 24
Yes, I'm
hours.
aware of that.
Okay. Well, somebody asked what they were.
Okay.
There's more,
I
but
mean, I'm not in, I just have heard through the grapevine, there are all these things, and I just wanted to know what they are and what everyone's getting all worked up about. So you've mentioned 4 complaints.
You can contact licensing yourself, give them our facility number, and they can inform. They can.
I have
share
a
that
report right
information
here.
with you as well.
I have a report, Wendy. Or
I mean, if you're concerned, and it's also posted in our facility.
I'm not ragging on it. I'm just trying to get information, and I would think that would be part of the
Forthcoming.
Yes. Should have been
report. That's all. I'm just saying.
Okay, let's move on. Do you have any more?
So was that it? We had 4 complaints. I'm just.
Well, Jenny can probably fill you in because she has a copy of the report.
There's many more than that.
Okay. Well, why don't you give us, because I believe there was 5 on the first visit, so why don't you share with us what the other one was?
Well, maybe you can tell me, because I haven't talked with Megan, what is the civil penalty fine for the type A violations?
I don't have the documents in front of me, so
Well, yeah, a round number, 500, 100?
Yeah, I can't give you that information at this time.
Okay, you know what, I don't need to know anymore, Doris, this is just, you know, I'm sorry, Lori, I'm not, you started to give a list and somebody interrupted you, so I was
If I
just
knew
trying
I was
to
going to
get
be
back.
questioned about it, I would have brought a copy of the report.
It's posted.
And it's posted at the center, and you can contact licensing
You know what, I mean,
yourself.
I just wish that it wouldn't be so.
Look, do you
crazy
understand
right now.
why she's defensive?
Wait,
This
wait.
is what happens all of the time.
No, Lisa, you're out of order.
Of course I'm out of order, but look at how she's attacked constantly.
No, I'm
I've
not.
rarely spoken up at these meetings other than to make my report, so I'm feeling a bit uppity right now. So I'm just trying to give the information as accurately as possible. Again, if you are seeking more information about the licensing report, you can come to the center. It's posted on the wall. You can also contact licensing yourself, and they will inform you of what happened.
Shouldn't all of this be in a report, though?
Thanks, Judy. Shay's
I
next.
just have a question. I didn't know till today that that Luke was an employee on and off or whatever. Did you get his driving record on file and everything from the safety
Yes,
file?
he has that.
Okay. I was just curious.
Is it Steve?
John.
We heard it sounded like from your previous comments that it was about $30,000 spent in the last year for the Children's Center because of their deficits in operating. And it sounded like in July it was 2,000 plus in the hole. So do we have a projection as to the remainder of this year? We're looking at August, September, October, November, December. And I know you've got an open house this week. I know you're hoping that good things will happen, but do you have a projection as to how much of a subsidy you're going to need from this board in order to stay open for the rest of the year?
No. Yeah, not really.
Nobody can even, it could be 3,000 a month like we've been doing or more.
It could be what was 1,700 last month, wasn't it?
26.
I thought you just gave us the figures. It was a little over $2,000 deficit for July.
For June, I think it was 1,700.
July was 26.
July was 26.
On the video, it
I
says
just
she,
want to add to what the gentleman in the back said, and just curious as to what were the costs previous to Lori's employment, and what have they been in the first few months that she's actually been able to turn around the center? I mean, yes, there's a lot of things that have fallen in disrepair, which I don't think can be held responsible. The center can be held responsible for if the previous administration hadn't kept up on it, no matter what circumstances kept them from doing this. Well, no, but I think what's being called into question is how much money has been spent on the center, how much projected money is going to be spent on the center, but we need to understand, was it more beforehand or has it slowly decreased? Has there been a decrease of money
So what we're
from
saying
the
is
board
if
to
it's-
the center?
If it's 2,500-ish a month, that's 30,000 a year. We only get 90,000 a year for the entire community. We can't give a third of it
So
to one.
let me speak to what John mentioned. So before Lori got there, or maybe just when you got there, it was about 6,000 a month. So last month, about 1,700, this month 26. One of the things that we'll get to when I talk to Judy's point is that all her staff went on vacation, so Lori ended up working a lot. Her hours cost half again as much or double of what the staff did. So that skewed our tuition, our staff costs up. So
I understand and I appreciate that apparently no one can give a projection as to the rest of the year, but we do have a sense of how it has been so far, which is helpful. And I'd like to ask one more question, and that is how many in Canyon, Majeska, and Silverado full-time enrolled children do we have versus kids outside the community? Can we have any sense of how many of our, since we're supporting this with a lot of money from this board, how many of the kids there are full-time Silverado or Majeska kids right now?
Well, okay, so I respect and understand your point, but what we're trying to do is, as Deborah pointed out, there aren't a lot of kids around here. We're trying to pull in extra kids from other places now.
I understand that. I understand that, but I'm still interested in, if there's one kid from Silverado and Majeska and we're spending $3,000 a month, I think that the community probably would be interested in that. Maybe it's not one, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 15, but it would be good to know.
It's between 7 and 10 kids from the community.
That are full-time enrolled?
Well, it's
full-time hours.
Well, full-time every day, full-time 5 days a week, that all depends on what your definition of full-time is.
Like, we had 3 new kids that came from Majeska for the summer
Oh,
camp.
I didn't even count them, so.
So you said 7 to 10, and earlier you said there's 30 kids there. Is that
Yes.
basically the ratio?
Yes.
About a third or a
You know, I think you need to recheck that number. There's more than 7 to 10.
That's
because
off
I
the
know.
top of our That's off the top of my head without having the records to look at. I'm just guesstimating.
I'm appreciating the directors giving these
So
answers.
what we need to see is we need to have you divide that resident kids, non-resident. Make a little note in your reports.
And the equivalency. And yeah, the equivalency, because if they're there 2 hours a day,
FTE,
a week, that doesn't help.
Right.
Right.
Kevin?
Yeah, I just want to make one point about, it's supposed to be a standalone business. I've ran a lot of businesses. We have to project every 6 months what we're going to be spending, and you have to make projections. It could be plus or minus, it could be this or that, but you have everything, every piece of knowledge is at your fingertips. You just need to do the math. You can project. Why isn't it projected? That's the way you run a business.
Okay, so
that again goes back to my question.
Let's go back
Thank
to
you.
Judy's question. So are you guys done enough with the report?
If the board would so desire, this is something that we talked about in our staff meeting, Lori and I are happy to work the full-time equivalent from September to present, what it's been, what our cost has been in conjunction with what our intake has been, and what our projections are through December. If that would please the community, we're happy to.
That would please us.
John, one of the things that happened that you might not have heard about is that when Amy came to the board and said that we had this financial problem, she also moved, her husband got transferred and she moved out of state.
Oh, I know the history, and it all happened really fast.
So we had to find somebody, that person was more expensive than we would have liked, but we had to have somebody right then that could fill in, and so that made it costlier, although when Lindy started looking at bills and started billing people and said, well, you're paying for 2 days a week, but you're bringing your kid 3 or 4 days a week, you owe this much now, we lost a lot of kids that were coming at that.
People were used to making their own deals.
So, I mean, that's where we all of a sudden ended up at $6,000 a month.
Right, and some of us actually put in money so that one of the kids who couldn't pay could go. So, there's a lot of ways that people have tried to support the school and still are.
Fixed, so
well,
forward.
everybody, if you don't all understand, we have great things coming, but we're not out of the woods. That's what I said in December, and that's what I said in February. It's like, it's looking better, but we're not out of the woods, and if we have to, we're going to have to close it at the end of this year. You know, December, January, that'll be it. So if everybody wants to see that happen, you know, let's just keep bickering and bitching. But I'm sorry, we've got to pull this. This is it can't cost us money. We can all do fundraisers. So I'll speak to the Roosters grant. We got the grant, and I wasn't sure what we were going to get. They started off at $2,500, and I said, well, I'm not even coming to the meeting for $2,500. I get that much myself. And so by the end of the meeting, it turned out that our program fits exactly their giant fundraising pot that they get, $200,000 a year, or $225,000. Pre-K up to 4 years old is what they want. So I'm looking at our pre-K when I'm in there the other day, and there's 2 kids and the teacher, and I'm going, this is really not looking good, because if we can do that program, we're liable to get that money again next year, and we may get more money, because they usually start off really low. I got them to give us more. We might get $15,000 out of them. I don't think we'll get more ever than that.
What did you say that they gave?
$9,000.
And has that money just been granted?
It's just been granted, and I actually talked to Jeff Sarkisian today to see if ICO will manage that, you know, accept the money and give it back to the Children's Center. Has to go through a 501c3, even though the SMRPD is exactly, we're a government 501c3. I don't want our any flags at that group, because I want them to love everything that they see, and so they give us the money again. Because that $9,000 almost pays for the preschool instructor for the whole year.
Can it be used for that? Is it grant,
It can be,
is it specific to?
it can be for whatever we want it to be used for. We need to be shown, we have to send them a report of what happened, and we need to be shown that we used it to benefit our pre-K through 4th grade people. So Lori is working on which program is going to show that the best, and has already got ideas on that. So hopefully, I won't be here next week for the ICL meeting, so if anybody goes, please plead with them, Lynn.
Oh, Lynn left.
She had to leave.
Did you say you were gonna put some mailers out to advertise to the community? Yeah.
The board
Bill's
has,
here.
the board
Bill's
has,
here.
the board has to vote to do it for us. So Jeff was optimistic, but he goes, I can't promise you anything. It's a meeting after all. He goes, you know how the county people are.
You could make a decision like you did.
I have a question for the ladies that are doing the other programs, the homeschool program and the 4-H. They are detached, disconnected from the actual Children's Center daycare program, correct?
4-H is.
Yes.
4-H will be in conjunction with it. But what we are going to offer to students of the Silverado Children's Center that pay for childcare is an opportunity to participate in the 4-H after-school programs. Otherwise, if they are not part of our enrollment, they will have to be part of the programs there with their family, their parents or their guardian or whatever. So that what that does for the children is that gives them an opportunity to begin a record book as early as the age of 5, going all the way through the age of 19.
What's your point?
My point is, if for some reason, fortunately, the Roosters grant sounds like it's going to float the Children's Center for a while, and it's able to be used for director or teacher salaries, it sounds like. If for some reason before January, the Children's Center didn't come out, and this board cut the funding to the Children's Center, would the 4-H program be able to continue on that site? Would the homeschool program be able to continue on that site? Are probably important questions.
Really, I think that would be up to the board. The 4-H program is not going to be called Silverado Children's Center. It's going to have to be its own private entity. So we're in the process of forming a charter under a different name, not Silverado Children's Center. However, they are going to be partnering together. It in and of itself is its own 501c3, so any monies that are donated or fundraised on behalf of the 4-H program would need to be used specifically for the 4-H programs. And I think if the program is going to stay on site at the Silverado Children's Center site, that's entirely up to the board, really.
Well, those are wonderful programs that you ladies brought forward, and thank you so much, because I know it was a really big deal when we did the reassessment of the center, and the board put it on the agenda to possibly, cut the funding, and then the community came out full force, and then the Carson survey, everything was what else is going to happen there in the interim or whatever, and you did that, and thank you very much.
My question has to do with fundraising. I know that you had mentioned that the community can fundraise on behalf of the Children's Center. How do we know that the funds are actually going to the charity?
Many of us try.
Anything else?
Yes, I wanted to thank Community Support Wise. Specialized Tree Works has donated their services completely 100%. They've refurbished and mulched our entire property. It's amazing. I wanted to thank Lisa Collins and Sunland Shutters for their generous donation of all the new blinds, which have been really colorful to see. We have a local community member working on our new logo. Her name is Jennifer Schmidt, and I wanted to thank her even though she's not here. I wanted to thank Steve for always being there when I call him. Rattlesnake or unplug the toilet or whatever we need.
Relocate, don't
yeah.
relocate.
I'm sorry, eliminate the threat of a rattlesnake. I want to thank Kelly Roberts and her family for the new animal additions. We do now have us to Wendy and Heather. And we wanted to thank Linda and Ron for the computer donation, and Ron donated a vacuum, which is amazing, and we're cleaner than we've ever been. And the last thing was, we did have some community concerns, which was vandalism to our signs, and I know people are aware that it happened in more than just our facility. We filed a Sheriff's Department report, and we've also been receiving some crank phone calls. We're aware who this person is, and a report has been filed with the Sheriff's Department, so we just wanted to let people know. And that's it.
Okay, Linda. Linda, I may need your help.
Me?
Yeah.
Or?
Who has a calculator?
Oh, I do.
Anybody that has a cell phone.
I'll have one.
So what?
Okay, so I asked Lori, I said, Lori, we have to come up with a way to show people where we are at. Because our cash report that comes from Megan isn't giving everybody a clear picture of what's happening at the school. Because tuition gets paid late, 2 bills came in 1 month. We've been putting in the money for the
Licensing fees. No?
putting the windows and the screen and the painting and the gutters and new siding on the whole building.
Deferred maintenance.
Construction.
Repairs, yeah, part of the revitalization stuff. And so I told Lori what I was thinking of, and she came up with the June report, which we have to modify it because she's more optimistic, as you can tell, than I would be. So what she did is Judy, what she did is she took all the tuition that was coming in, that came in June, $7,410. And she took all of the expenses out, which were $92.70. And then what she did is she said, well, we just paid $775 for an annual licensing fee. So she took that number, divided by 12, put that number back in, because I would call it amortizing, but Megan said it's actually called accrualizing, or accruing or something.
So am I supposed to subtract that 700?
No, you just have to trust that she did the math good. I've gone over it multiple times. There were 2 bills for like $540 from the cleaning service that hit this month, so she took one of those out. There was $1,370 for the repairs, maintenance that we had done, not the extraordinary maintenance. She put that back in. And that's how she came out with this number.
The $176 and change.
Negative, yeah.
In negative. So on July 22nd, like I said, I haven't been paying attention, but I did remember hearing July 22nd, the report was they were $176 and change in the red for
that
right
month.
then.
For the month of June.
Right, for that month.
Month of June, yeah.
Okay, and then a little over a week later.
So wait, I don't think you got how we did it. We took.
It had to include the chili cook-off money, funds.
There was $582 of chili cook-off that came in that month late, not the original money.
The original $7,000 in chili cook-off, that was spent the month before.
She didn't include that number in here. That money all the money that's raised, the $9,000, that money goes in the pot. So I asked her, how can we show people where we are, tuition that we've got, expenses that we've got, are there expenses that can come out, like 2 cleaning bills hit that month, so there was 500 and some out. $1,368 for the painting or the the outside wood. She didn't mention it, but I don't know if you all know, Tim Jenkins sent his guys out, charged us only for the cost of the supplies, wrapped the whole building, and he didn't charge any labor for it. So,
wow. Awesome.
Thank
you.
So that's what I'm trying to get her to do, is a picture of what's the tuition of the number of kids that we charge this month. Now, they don't all pay in that month, but we should know that this month we had this much that we're going to get from kids. The really good news is we actually get it. There's not people that aren't paying their bills in there. They might come a little late, but in the last quite a few months, she said everybody's paying, even if it's a month and a half behind. She took out the expenses, and that's how she got that. So I looked at it afterwards, and Linda Kearns and I sat down and said, well, this is nice, but she actually did tuition collected. And I said, no, you can't do tuition collected. So the July report shows actual tuition that was incurred, generated by the number of kids and hours that came that month. So that number is better. The out number is better. If the board votes to not expense the building refurbishment cost to the Children's Center, that's going to take that out of it. So then we can actually see, and that's the number that I'm trying to get for everybody so that you can see a real number, not a tuition number and the tuition came late one month or a big expense came in one month. So that's what I'm working at, and
I understand that.
And that's why the cash numbers then, all these other expenses hit, and she needs extra money.
All right, I understand that. I ran my own business for many years. Okay.
So that
You
might
look
be
at
Kevin's
what
projection.
you look at what you have basic costs to run a business every month. Those are your basic costs. She gave the report on July 22nd that they were $176 and change in arrears. That's all I remember hearing. Like I said, I haven't been listening. And then from what I heard, a little over a week later, the Children's Center asked the board for funding. And then 2 weeks later, on August 14th, they asked again for funding. I was told that that funding was around $7,000. I haven't heard
It wasn't. It was
what
like
they are.
30,
No, it was 3,300 and then 3,700. It was
33 and 1,700.
No, 3,700.
Anyway, that's the difference between cash accounting and trying to give you a picture of
I
where we are
understand.
so you can understand.
But based on her report on July 22nd, the board voted.
Did you read down your agenda? Because we're coming to that topic in just a minute.
Okay, but this is all together. You guys voted to support the Children's Center until December 31st. And I would agree too. I mean, a couple $100 a month, that's, $800 till December, that's only $2,400 a year. But when you start working $7,000 a month, that's $28,000 by December, and that's getting up over $90,000 for the whole year. And that is a lot of a different picture to give to the taxpayers in this community, because this is our money. And I understand all this other stuff, but when it basically gets, would you guys vote right now after being hit again? Would you still vote to support the school, knowing that it may cost us $7,000 a month, every month, even with all the fundraisers, even with everything? That might be what taxpayers are going to have to pay to keep the school open.
I just wanted to say that one of the things that I'm seeing, because I'm going to the Children's Center several times a week, is the Children's Center operates on the school year model, and no reasonable financial deductions can be made by what's going on in the summer. Because the summer camp is at a completely different pricing, it's at a completely different usage. So I think next month's meeting numbers will be much more effective. Because right now, I mean, we've just had a turnover, there's all this stuff going on, and it's just about to happen. So probably the next set of numbers will be much more helpful. Because we're all watching it too. I want my child to keep going there. And we really want to support and appreciate all the interest in the community.
Just 2 points. One, I think historically, from what I understand, and I talked to Debbie a lot about this, who was on the advisory committee of the Children's Center for many years, the summer program is when they actually get even. It's the regular school year that's been tough. So I don't know that your understanding is going to be correct, and it's not historical from what I've heard. But what concerns me more is I'm still confused as to whether they've asked for $7,000 in the last couple of weeks total or a different number. And it seems like Shay Peterson
The
is
emails
saying
I got
it's
that I responded to
7,000
Megan, the
total.
first one was 3,300, and I said, does this include licensing penalties, and she said, no, we didn't get billed for those yet. They will be coming, and then 2 weeks later, I have to do payroll and everything again. I need $3,700.
So we
Those are
did
my
give them
emails. Unless she
$7,000.
typoed wrong to me, those were my
So
emails.
your numbers are that it's 7,000 in requests the last couple of weeks, and has that been funded yet, or is it
Those
gonna be
those
a
are
vote on
voted-
funding it, or how does this happen?
Those are approved by particular members of the board on email to Megan. I'm not one of those board. I get the email, but I don't respond, other than asking questions. I don't approve those.
Okay, and
As a
Mr.
board-
Bates, is that your understanding of what the numbers are, or
It's somewhere around there, I don't know off the top of my head.
So
So what
we-
the board did quite a few months ago is said, we're gonna fund this, we're gonna fund it. And we told Ron that Ron would be the person who, when Megan sends a request, he would be the person authorized by the board to say yes. So I understand Bob's point is that we need to bring those numbers to a vote.
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So,
and
I
all
suppose
the,
she
all the
requested
discussion tonight did not say anything about us giving them $7,000.
That's my question, thank you.
You know, we read the numbers and said we're $2,000 in the rears and we're doing better. But up until just this last 5 minutes, I had no understanding that we gave them $7,000 more in the last couple of weeks. And we've been talking about the Children's Center for 2 hours now.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you, Debbie.
but if I'm not mistaken, the board voted to fund the children's center, and there was no dollar amount on it, and I'm just right in the middle, until we see if it's gonna work. You got a great management team, getting the accounting processes streamlined, getting it so you get a true accounting where you are, and come January, December, when all these processes are in, that's when they're making a decision. Everybody's trying to make a decision now. We're changing, the board and the staff is changing the process to get it to where it can be a viable business. And we're trying to dissect it right now. Well, the ship hasn't sailed yet, and we're trying to pull the plug on it.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah, you
they
are.
voted. I actually support the center, Tim, so don't ask me, tell me that.
Well, then.
I'm asking legal questions. The vote was based on $176 in July 22nd
No.
that they said they were in arrears. Director Briggs, did you ever talk to the board and say, okay, if you approve us until December 31st, you're probably going to have to come up with around $7,000 this month? Because anybody listening to that report, knowing that the month before and the month before that, there was this infusion of $7,000 from the chili cook-off. Wherever that money went to and however it did, somewhere someone had to make up that money. And unless the school was going to have another chili cook-off or another fundraiser, the members of this board, I can't be the only one in this room who said they've got to do something or they're going to have another $7,000 bill. I'm not that smart when it comes to that kind of stuff.
When I read the financials last time, I based off what she had given us in the report, not on her optimistic number of what the loss was. So I knew the loss was bigger than what Lori had told us, because it's in the report that Megan gives us. It's up here and we read it. Bob?
I just want to make two comments, and part of it goes to what Tim was saying. You cannot vote to give a blank check for someone to write checks when they're needed. The amounts have to be approved in open session by a vote of the public in attendance. That's what a public session is. The other thing I wanted to say is that I am one of the persons that Director Bates consulted about the third resume, whatever it was, and I had a concurring opinion, but I was not asked and I did not advise on procedure.
I have a question, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. If you didn't have the what's your budget every $80,000 a year? If you didn't have the children's center.
No,
the money.
Everybody understands we're paying out of
No.
reserves to keep the children's center going.
The SMRPD gets how much money a year from the government?
About 80,000.
The question is, what do you spend it on besides the children's center? Because if you didn't have the children's center, what would you be spending all that money on?
Until September.
Right. Serious. I'm serious.
She's serious. Until last September, we had never given them any money. we have, we spend the money that we get now.
Well, that's my
this-
question is on what?
It goes.
Utility bills.
It goes to utilities, it goes to pay Steve, it goes to
Maintenance.
maintenance, it goes
Landscaping.
to the people who clean. Come up, you're running for the board, come and I'll show you all the stuff that you should know.
The bills are pretty big compared to that small amount of money.
We use most of the money up. Now, since I got on the board, our savings has gone way up because we've been as frugal as we can, cheap if you like, and spent the least money we could. But, everybody, I've said it like, I think I'm turning blue, the money for the Children's Center is coming out of our reserves. And that's not a good thing. It has to get fixed, and I think we've got a deadline it has to get fixed by, and they know it.
Yeah, I think it's on its way. I hope it is anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it really looks better. So I'm very optimistic, but don't anybody think it's completely out of the woods. Send anybody you know. I mean, so for example, we got a complaint at the Children's Center that there were dead fish in the water.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody called up and said, oh, there's dead fish in the water for your animals. Okay, anybody here who has animals in a water trough, I'm sorry, these little fish die every week. If the water gets too hot, they die. If you add too much water and you don't know what you're doing, you kill them because the chlorine kills them. I mean, really, dead fish. Let's go to the important stuff. Okay, let me say this. If there's something wrong, we need to know now. We don't need you to call them because we want to fix it now. And so, everybody, of course, everybody can call anybody they want and complain. Call the register and tell them we're doing a bad job. I don't care. But we need to know when there's something wrong, you got to call us. Jane, when you found the dead fish, it's like, call me. I could have brought some from my house because I got 5 waterers, so I always have fish.
I just told Lori.
So
Prior to
they'll come out anytime they have fish in your water.
Prior to Miss Briggs being the director, when we had Lindy, there was a bogus mold complaint. So, I mean, it's not something new.
But not all the complaints, some of the complaints we've gotten are right. I mean, we need to fix it. We can't commingle the kids. Unfortunately, I wish the video wasn't on, our center is set up that way. And I don't know if everybody's going to like it when the little kids are put in their room and they get their little teeny yard and the big kids get their yard because, like she said, that's what parents kind of like about it, and I don't know that there's anything we can do about that.
I don't know that that was an accurate comment also that there was commingling going on before, because the years that I was a school-age teacher, I got there when the kids got out of school and I was always there until their parents picked them up, and 2 hours beyond that.
There was always commingling.
There was
always commingling.
Yes, but there were separate teachers.
There.
No, I'm just saying there were separate teachers on staff. That's all. That's my.
They were all in the middle play yard the whole time.
We had separate teachers on staff the day they got the commingling.
Oh, okay.
What happened is some of the kids ran through one room and out another door, and that was commingling. So here's preschool kids in one class, or vice versa.
Then you're correct. Yeah.
I mean, we're just screwed. But that's what our people like about it. And I don't know. In fact, one of the things they're asking them is, how can we deal with this? Because this is what we do. In fact, I want to add a high school program. I want to add an after-school, high school. Because there's nothing up here for our kids. So guess what? When that school comes back online with the library down there, it's the perfect place to start the high school after tutoring. And we can do that with almost all volunteers. Maybe the director will coordinate a little if they're still there. Swap.
I'd like to make one comment, and I'm not sure many people are aware of this. The board has the ability to adopt the Children's Center as part of the park district. It doesn't have to be an enterprise fund, and there's precedent for that throughout the state, especially in small outlying districts where it's a very important thing.
What would we get if we did that?
Reliability.
I mean, what's the upside?
The upside is to keep something going for a long time for people who need it.
It wouldn't be.
But no, I mean, the problem I see is that the Parks District can't afford
I'm
We've
just
always,
saying, that
it's
not many
possible.
people appreciate that it is possible, it's very possible. There is a nexus there.
I mean, it would really be a shame to lose it. I've been fighting since September to keep it going, and I want everybody to help, because it would be horrible for a lot. It would be a horrible loss for us.
So backing up a few steps, talking about Ron just writing a check when it's,
We're gonna have to revisit how we do that.
okay, well, I mean, it's gonna stop at this point. And any monies that are going to be forwarded to the Children's Center will be discussed at a regular or an open meeting.
Well, that's a great idea. The problem is when payroll comes around,
You can't have a meeting.
we can't have, I mean, it was gonna be really hard to have
But
a meeting,
okay, but-
because we're gonna have to have some projections.
But don't you have to follow the rules, which are that you can't, unless it's been discussed in front of the public?
We can get a projection and approve a projection, correct?
So you wanna vote on the electric bill and the water bill and everything else? I mean, that's.
No, I'm talking about the Children's Center.
But they have to approve it in open session, and they do.
Okay, so we,
I mean.
The original vote was only to go to December last year. And December came and went, it never got revoted, and then it was assumed that it would do again in June, which I asked to be put on the agenda, which didn't come till July, and then we approved it with missing information, and here we are again.
well,
I'm
okay,
just,
but
I'm just talking procedurally.
we're gonna have to figure out how to do that, because we're gonna have to get some numbers ahead of time so we can meet and vote on them. And I hope you guys don't mind, but we're gonna have to have a meeting on the day that, the day it needs to be done.
But it would have to be, I mean, it has to be in front of the public, so the public knows.
Publicly noticed.
There's gonna be a 24-hour notice, because when she needs the money, she needs the money.
I'm just
Thanks for
making.
coming, guys.
Sorry.
Good luck with everything.
I'm just making the point that this is, what's been going on, is there's been so much that goes on, and the public doesn't know, and they can't follow what the board is doing. So I'm just trying to make a point that those things have to be in front of
I really don't know that I can agree, because I'm pretty sure everybody knew that we had spent $20-some thousand at least a couple meetings ago.
I know, okay. Am I not understanding? I thought just a few minutes ago you said that you gave permission to Ron,
But we're gonna have to revisit that.
and that's just what I'm talking about.
I just said we're gonna have to revisit that. Now, Bob, we voted to do that in September or December, so
But no dollar amount was put on it.
I don't remember you ever saying that until today, so we'll have to
Well, I'm
fix that.
sorry, I didn't catch it
No,
then.
he argued in the very first meeting that was designed to end for a revisit in December. He was arguing that there needed to be a dollar amount, and so did Brett Peterson.
So,
At that
Okay, I
meeting.
did argue.
why didn't you
I remember. I've already brought this up numerous times.
What I would like to say is every dollar this board spends needs to be approved in open session.
Yeah.
With the exception of a petty cash fund that you establish, and somebody on the board can approve it up to $100 or $200, whatever it is.
Okay, so,
And
Next
that
item.
gets approved later in open session after the fact.
Till the end of the year.
The same applies to Christmas and the candles, by the way, and it has not happened.
go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say, again, thank you so much for having me at your open meeting. I am new to Silverado Canyon. My family has lived in unincorporated Santa Ana for the last 15 years. But I do want the community as a whole to know that we are, as a program, we want to be completely self-sustainable, and we do want transparency for the community, because that's what it's all about. We are here for the children, and the children are part of the community, and we are here for the parents and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, and we want everyone to be a part of it to grow this new future of Silverado, to help us, maintain what we have. It's a beautiful, wonderful opportunity to enrich and enlighten our children to be self-motivated, independent individuals that are productive members of our society who can think critically for themselves and not just be told what to do and how to think. And, this is a great place and a great opportunity for it. And I thank everybody who's involved. I thank Ms. Briggs, I thank Kelly, I thank Celebration Education and Laurel for bringing new opportunity to us, and the board for doing due diligence on the best, of their abilities. And thank you again, and I really appreciate your support and your effort. And it is about moving forward. We don't want to forget, because if you forget, you can't fix your mistakes and amend those things that have been broken. But it is about moving forward and being productive and being a part of the community to help our future grow. So thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate your time and your.
Excuse me, are you an instructor or a volunteer?
I'm a teacher.
At the school?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you guys,
Thank you. What is your name again?
My name's Amiel.
I mean, I met you the first day when Lori came.
Yes. Oh, I think it was after.
Amiel? Are you working at the center now?
I do.
She must be a good cop.
And I'm also the homeschool coordinator with Celebration Education.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'll be working with Kelly, hopefully, doing the 4-H leadership program.
I thought we didn't have the funds for it. I thought that's why we,
It's not our
rid of one.
It's not our jurisdiction.
No, but okay, so the Children's Center, I thought that we were short, I thought the Children's Center was short of funding, so that's why we let
issues,
go.
we need more staff on hand to be able to better handle our
Excuse me, and so is.
That is a question of mine as well.
Okay.
And
I
I was
staff
told that
members
Jenny's
left,
termination
too.
letter was because there wasn't funding to pay her paycheck.
That's what I thought too, okay. So
Jessica Angel, she left the Children's Center shortly after Jenny left, and we were in need of.
Amiel came to work with us when we had our commingling issues, so that she could assist us with commingling.
no commingling issues.
So we're
Really,
back to the
she's-
number of teachers that we had a few months ago.
She's primarily going to be working
No,
for
she-
Celebration Education.
Well, nice to meet you. You're very eloquent.
Oh, they're paying-
person.
They're paying somebody to help the homeschool people? Yeah.
No.
That's what she just said, she was working with them.
She's
Celebrate.
going to work for them and they're gonna pay her salary.
Oh, so you're not a children's center?
No, right
I
now she
currently
is.
am right now. As of September 3rd, I will be a teacher with Celebration Education, and I will be working possibly after hours, once Celebration Education is over, possibly about maybe an hour to 2 hours to assist with Celebration
Okay,
Education.
so you're working you're hired by the Children's Center right now.
Currently.
And you won't be
As of
later.
September 3rd.
So that means we'll have,
The
we'll
cost
still
will be-
have the
the cost
commingling
will-
situation.
No,
and
we
have
won't have
another-
commingling because our school-age children will be in school, and once
Oh,
they get out
okay.
of school,
And when
then
they
we will
do
have
the
the
switcheroo
after-school program.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, gotcha.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Shay's agreed to send number B to a next meeting, and I'd like to send C, the leads, to the next meeting.
Well, we accomplished what I wanted to do, which was get a full report before the community that had questions about that. That was really my only concern.
So item D, I'd like to propose to the board that the SMRPD pay for the actual repair costs of the building, not operating expenses of the Children's
So you
Center.
have a number?
Well, we have a couple small numbers. Last month it was, painting was like $13.68. Tim's siding number is just gonna come in any day. I think the gutters were $500.
So we have an overall number?
I don't know. Today it's kind of like, are you guys willing to do this? Should we look
But
at
this
this or
sounds
not?
like some of these things were already paid with SMRPD funds, and some of them are invoices coming in.
We're gonna transfer the monies, so they won't be a Children's Center expense. They'll be a SMRPD expense.
So they have been paid up to this point? Or
Some have, which I'd like to have
those
Megan book
transfer
to.
over to them?
In a minute. So we'll have Megan transfer them back to SMRPD and out of the deficit that belongs to the Children's
And
Center.
the result of that is to make the children's center
Less deficit.
less deficit.
Right, so my rationale for it is, there are buildings, we probably need to maintain them because we know that the Children's Center isn't. We maintain all the rest of our buildings. I mean, you could allegedly make the argument that we pay for the electricity and let everybody use these buildings too, but I think that's going too far. Paying to reside the building when it's decayed, to paint it, put gutters up, put windows in where they were leaking. Those are like real hard building expenses, and there are buildings. Whoever was there, those would be decaying, and that's why I think that it's rational to give those expenses back to the
You're
SMRPD.
saying all building expenses that have been incurred so far, plus future expenses?
Well, it's pretty much done. I don't think there's much
Well,
to do.
that would be your proposal.
Fill your next, you'll be just in fill your next after Bob.
So my question is,
Yes.
so prior expenses that have been paid and any future expenses that we will incur?
But as Bob is about to point out, we need to vote on all the future expenses before we do that.
By item?
Yeah, as they come up. And I believe the expenses are pretty much done now. I don't know that there's much that we're gonna do to, Steve, is there anything much that we're gonna be doing to those buildings?
Well, you're still speaking
Not
to the
yet.
principal,
There's
though.
gonna be there's maintenance and stuff that still has to be done to them. I mean,
Right,
there's,
but little ongoing maintenance is different from we need rain gutters.
Well,
Because the rain gutter, because the one building didn't have rain gutters, the water went down the wood and destroyed the wood. And because nobody painted the wood died. And the wood and the insulation had to be replaced. And when he was there to replace the windows because the water was coming through the windows, and Tim said, these windows can't be sealed, they're the wrong kind of window.
we're still having issues with the air conditioning over there. We got one of them fixed, but I mean, we need to have the others worked on too.
Okay.
And I mean, they're not huge amounts of money, but I mean, they need to be fixed so that they don't just rot.
So-
And then I got one other thing I wanted to ask about. The tree works thing over here.
No, we're not there yet,
Okay,
we'll get
cool.
there later.
No problem.
So this is a two-part proposal. Pay for, transfer all of the prior bills that have been paid to the SMRPD. And then is there something for future or current bills, or is that something separate?
I wish Tim hadn't gone. I think the rain gutters were 500, the painting was about 13
Craig, you
something.
can't do this
You
without a
can't-
list of
No,
itemized expenses.
We're talking theory here, we're not approving an actual amount tonight because they don't have a list.
but
But is this okay? Should we pursue this? What do you
I
guys think?
I'm stuck. I'm like Wendy right now. I'm stuck on something, and I'm stuck on the fact that there have been invoices. I know it sounds petty, but that we have a process, and everyone else has to follow the process. And the process is the board approves checks going out, and there have been payments to the renovation that were not approved by the board. And we're talking about two different things. We're talking about things that have already been paid that didn't go through the process, and a new process for paying.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're talking about it all. And I'm concerned about shoving all of that over here and hiding it when we haven't really just addressed the fact that there's money going out from SMRPD that we're not talking about at this table and in the public meetings.
Okay, because
And I'm stuck on that.
the Children's Center director was authorizing those because they were all under her budget. And I want to transfer them, I want those monies to come back and that we should be responsible because there are buildings.
But I remember you hiring a painter, and not Lori hiring the painter. You hired the painter and had it paid out of SMRPD funds, and we didn't vote on it.
No,
I'm
we
talking
didn't
about
pay it
stuff
out
like
of
that.
SMRPD funds.
Well-
It came out of it's all come out of Children's Center funds.
If I may, Greg, I believe there was $1,500 spent on the renovation of the stage, and I never voted on that either. That was supposedly a safety issue, but what I'm saying is, some things have happened
That's
where we haven't voted on it. I think what the issue here is breaking it up into two sections. Do we want to cover all of the past expenses for the renovation of the building? That's one issue.
Yes.
And then the second issue is future expenses.
Well, let's even say not that far today. Let's say, if you're good with the idea, I'll have Megan pull all the numbers and we'll vote on it the next meeting.
That's fine, let's do that.
How can I speak? Thank you.
We
The
know I don't forget you.
$65,000 that was accumulated earlier, where do you think it came from? It came from expenses just like you're talking about, and they were kept track of.
any funds that go from the general fund to the enterprise fund by whatever fact are a debt from the enterprise fund back to the general fund. And the board has the ability to write that debt off if they wish. Just do it by the process and open session. You can do that.
So, okay, thank you.
But to say that it is, they're not, SMRPD owns the enterprise fund, but the buildings are an asset of the enterprise fund. And as long as you have that fund and that's what you're dealing with, treat it the way you should legally. Money's transferred from the general fund to there are a loan.
So I thought, okay, well then I understood wrong. I thought that we had, the buildings were our buildings.
In the sense that
in this SMRPD building.
Own the enterprise, yes. But they are an enterprise fund asset. Or liability, depending on how you want to look at it.
Actually, I'm not sure how they're on the books as assets. There is, there was some question the last time I talked to the auditor when he was doing his annual audit. He was asking me about, he called me because I'd been the treasurer once upon a time, and he was asking me about depreciation schedule. Oh, it was for the new trailer, and how much we had depreciated the old trailer. And I said, I don't know, you're the accountant. You should have known. And as far as I know, at the time, there was no list of assets at whatever value. So I don't know who technically owns title to that property. And the second thing is...
It'll show in the previous audits.
Well, the title, I mean, you mean of the buildings and stuff, because
Right.
we don't own the ground, we lease the ground.
Right.
So does anybody remember when they went in?
But the other thing is that there is obviously substantial depreciation that has happened, as people have considerably, which was not ever, as far as I know, charged to the Children's Center and the Enterprise Fund. So back at the same point, whether you call it Parks District asset and take over that debt as the Park District, or then you would have to turn around and start charging them a depreciation, charging them for the cost of the usage, which you're not doing.
We charge them $1 a year or $1 a month.
But that's not sufficient.
We have complete audits through the 90s and up through 2010. Take a look at how it was done. We had an auditor who knew what he was doing.
Phil's first.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, you know, in a kind of standard business agreement, you would have, if you own the buildings and the company, the business was running it, you would be responsible for the building maintenance and repairs and whatnot, but you'd also be getting rent.
Exactly.
So, you know, to say, well, we own the building, so we're responsible for it. No, the building really is part of that business, and it should come out of the SMRPD, or it should come out of their funds, not the SMRPD's. And also, and I think this is what Shay was trying to say, is you're going to obscure this and make it look like it's off books. If you're trying to determine whether it's going to be a viable operation or not, if you transfer something like that, which is really part of the business, into the SMRPD expense, it's gonna screw up how you're going to be able to analyze whether you've got a going business or not. It's going to look like it's going when it's not.
So let me ask devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
Assuming you didn't have nonprofit businesses, do nonprofit businesses run and do their accounting differently when you have this kind of stuff?
They have to go through a depreciation process just like everybody
Yeah,
does.
they do it. You do it all, and then your tax liability is zero.
And we have no tax liability.
No.
We have no tax liability.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, and
So do we
again,
do
if you
the
want to
same?
sell it as a business, if you want to sell the children's center someday, let's say, you want to show the asset, you want to show what it costs to maintain that building, you want to show all this. You don't want to have it separated so it's not a real asset. You won't see the real whole asset if you start separating the monies all over.
Right.
So
Well, I
you're keeping
disagree
it
with
clean.
you. I disagree with you because I think of it as our building. So let's say the worst happens and we close the children's center. It's our building.
Right.
We have to pay to remove
Okay,
it.
we would be doing all that rehabilitation anyway.
That's not necessarily true, because normal lease would say you have to maintain the building as tenant,
you have to do the repairs, you have to return it in broom clean condition, etc. Now, if you've got a tenant that you're charging $1 a year, you really want to know, and the public wants to know, what are we paying besides just checks for their shortfalls on wages, but also having to maintain a building that's standalone for them only. That's part of the cost of supporting that center, and if you want to be able to tell the public what it really costs, you want to be able to say that. And if you look at your lease, if it was drafted by a lawyer or used a standard form, I can almost guarantee that they're the ones who have to maintain it, but they haven't been able to because they don't have the money. But under the lease, they'd be obligated to.
So Bob, do you know what our lease is with them? Do you remember any of the terms?
With the county?
No, no.
With
The lease, the children's center with us.
There's no lease that I know of. Ask Betsy.
There's no lease. Okay, no, John, it's us.
There's no lease.
So we are the SMRPD. We started a children's center. It's legally termed.
It's like a park.
Well, the legal,
No,
helping them out, but we want to be able to show what it really costs out of our
The
funds for
buildings
that
were
children's
bought with
center.
the grant.
that's for the Parks District.
And the county, I think, built part of it.
Okay, so I'm looking at it like there are buildings. If the children's center goes, there
They
are
are your
buildings.
buildings.
We
But
have to maintain them.
we have to go back to that original vote of what we said we were funding, and there were promises made in that special meeting that we would only be funding the actual business, and we weren't gonna add, we weren't gonna sneak any of the refurbishments to the center into that. Were you at that meeting?
Yeah.
I can't get past this. We didn't ever vote to start taking those bills, but we've been paying them.
Well, no, they've been all, okay, so John, to go back, and Bob can explain it better, probably. We are the Parks District. We started in a little corner of our Parks District over here, an enterprise district, or enterprise something, and that's what they call it. The enterprise something, because they asked the attorney, it's not allowed to have a profit. Well, they have such a big loss now that we're hoping they get a profit and can kind of pay us back. And
Non-profit means they don't hand out dividends, that's all it means.
no, Betsy told me that you couldn't make a profit on the enterprise district.
You can always make extra money.
It goes right into the
Back to
park.
the district.
It just goes right into the
Well, I could have misunderstood, but what I heard her say, and I'll check, is that if we were making so much money there, we would have to reduce the fees we were charging. So if we could raise a ton of money.
No, that's not true.
That's not true, Greg.
That's not true.
It's an enterprise.
That is
the
not,
word enterprise.
my God, there's nonprofit child care centers all over California. Nobody does that.
You keep it as retained earnings,
Yeah.
and from an accounting standpoint.
I thought the enterprise was the children's center, and they were supposed to make their own. They were supposed to make their own nut. And we told them years ago when it got to $60,000, that's it. We're not going to subsidize you anymore. You have to make it on your own. And, you know, if Amy can pile up money, which she wasn't able to do, but she was able to keep the doors open.
Until she
But
had to
it seemed to me that that was her business if she could. Right?
Yeah.
But they just haven't been able to do it, and we're talking about an extreme hypothetical. But my point is, if we start burying the cost of supporting a building that serves only one thing, the children's center, and not showing it as a cost of subsidizing that, then the public won't know what we're spending.
Right.
Okay, but these one-time expenses are skewing the numbers that are saying, are we bringing in enough kids to make the ongoing monthly expenses?
They aren't one-time expenses, they're part of the business expense.
Well,
When you do cash accounting, everything gets charged right then and there, bang, bada, boom.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Is
Yeah.
that we have,
Yeah,
so what,
it makes it look bad, but it should
It's
look bad,
supposed
and
to
you
look
can
bad.
explain it if
It's
you
a real
want, but
cost.
people need to know.
What
This is how
offsets
bad
that,
it really
Greg,
is.
and you're not getting it from the current bookkeeper, you need a cash flow statement each month. You're not getting that.
Yeah.
Greg, I would like to voice a concern about these new programs on the property and licensing. Licensing has very specific requirements for the amount of square footage for the kids and the playgrounds and stuff like that. And my concern is that the board really you need to have an outside person contact and work with licensing to get these things there and make sure that it's done appropriately. The commingling was on the first visit on July 22nd. They came back 2 weeks later and the commingling occurred again. That's why they were getting hit with such a stiff fine, because they didn't clean it up. The signs advertising the center said that it went up to age 14. The center's only licensed for age 12. And the no fingerprinting.
There were no children over age 12 there.
What?
There were no children over age 12.
It doesn't matter. They're advertising for
I
it,
asked
and
about
licensing was only for 12. And Lori was told before she put up the signs and the advertising that she shouldn't be doing that because the center wasn't licensed for that. And then the third point is the fingerprinting is an extremely serious issue. And the fact that there was a person working with the kids, alone with the kids, who had not been fingerprinted, anybody in education knows. I mean, that is like the...
He was driving the van too, excuse me for interrupting. He was driving the kids in the van.
Thanks, Jenny.
But my point is that if you're going to, these are really nice people, these are really great programs, don't let it get messed up by not having all the licensing done, because I've never heard of having all this kind of stuff on a licensed child care facility. And I've designed and built them, so I'm just saying, just be really careful, because you could get in a lot of trouble.
And I'd like to comment to that. When Kevin and I were helping design the flyer to promote the Children's Center in the springtime, I asked about those numbers, and I was told we've already applied and it's going to be a done deal real soon. Go ahead and put it on the flyer.
Yeah, I kind of remember these things.
And that's not forthcoming.
You can't do that.
You're right. We need to do our due diligence and not take things for face value. You know,
right.
We can't do that now. We know.
Because it's our center, right?
It's
legally.
Yes.
We're kind of like.
And we've been told a lot of things, and they didn't turn out to be actual.
Yeah.
So do your homework and make sure that licensing is in the
We've got to do our homework,
P's and Q's so that it has a chance to prosper.
Okay,
And on that, I would like to make a comment. As the one of the two directors on the safety committee and the chair of the safety committee, when I asked for that licensing report, because when I heard that there was a licensing issue and penalties and everything, when I asked for that report, I was told by Director Kearns that I would get it when the public got it. And I have a problem with that. As a representative of the district and someone who is supposed to be up on what's going on in our facilities, to be told that I go find it yourself, basically, or you'll get it when we've already responded, and it's inappropriate, and I do believe it's outside of the public process. And I want to make that statement.
It's just part of that whole divide in this county.
You gotta know what's going on.
This board's unwillingness to work together.
So are we
sad.
going to postpone we're not going to work on any of this. We're going to table that one.
Greg, can I just ask for one thing? And I'm sorry, I should have said this at the beginning, but can we get approval to finish up the trees over here for the fence, between the fence and the...
Not today.
No? Okay.
Wait. That original bid that Steve gave us,
Yeah, I've got it here.
didn't it include stump grinding or not? Or was the stump grinding part of the landscape?
Okay, Steve, you find out the original bid. If it's on there, you can do it now. Otherwise, we'll have to take it up at the next meeting to approve it. So the trees over there were just destroying the fence. So
and the asphalt.
And the asphalt. So Steve took the tree out today. He's going to stump grind, and he's finding some nice new tree that doesn't make roots, or bush that doesn't make roots.
No roots.
Good luck.
It's called astro tree.
So we did the
Cell tower there.
Okay, so we have a next item on the agenda. So we've tabled the things we're not going to get to tonight. Next item on the agenda is 7A, request from Bev Milam to have the district front the $500 that we've done for the last several years for daffodils. We sell them at the Silverado Fair, and she's always given us $500 or more back every year. That's pretty much right.
But I have a complaint. I didn't get any, so is $500 enough to buy enough daffodils
Yeah,
for
well,
everybody who wants them?
I have a complaint, because I didn't get to buy any last year either, you ran out.
Yeah.
Yes,
So what's up with that?
Exactly how many daffodils are we going to get for that?
Get her $600.
Where did those daffodils really go? I want
No, are you satisfied? Are you happy with that amount then? Are you happy with that amount?
Some transparency.
You don't want it.
Tom moved.
I made a motion that you receive $500.
And I second it.
Good job.
Yeah. All in favor?
Wow, it was above board.
Okay, BMC, we don't have enough material here to talk about all the policy stuff, so we'll table those to a future meeting.
The policies and facilities, changes to a facility use agreement and policy committee
We're gonna put that
votes
off.
Yeah, we're gonna
are
table
being
that.
moved. I'm telling them.
Thank you very much. Okay, number D, discuss the auditor for 2013 is scheduled for October. I'm pretty sure we already approved his contract, but I don't want to do anything wrong, so it'll be for an amount less than $4,500 plus his hotel, just to be safe. I want to make sure we... You need a motion to go. We did, I just want to be safe and make sure that I'm not doing that meeting more than I already did. So is there a motion for this auditor?
I make a motion we approve the auditor's contract plus hotel. Where do you stay?
Doggone it, I've got a room they could use.
At the Ritz
We
Carlton.
must do that.
Anybody second? All in favor?
All in favor.
Is it all in favor?
I have something that didn't get on, and I was just checking with Steve that I thought might get brought in. I had sent in a request to have, use the Riviera for a chipper day on.
Talk to Steve, that's his
That's
business.
what I was
It's all
just talking. It's all good? Is it okay to,
Okay.
all right, then I don't.
I don't think you need board approval.
That's what I
Well,
was.
that's just something.
Well, I was just checking with Steve, that's why I just brought it
The
up.
Station 14 didn't get board approval. They did
Done.
We're on item E. Oh, so Bev, on item
Yeah, they
E,
did.
that was a unanimous vote in favor.
We're all the way down to item E now.
Okay, the Capri Safety Audit Report and Action Plan, we have to send them something based on whatever they saw here that they liked or didn't like. So Shay's asking and Linda are asking if you approve, send it off to them.
Because we're late.
I will probably.
So, Shay, are you gonna move the motion?
Only to move to approve the safety audit, the Capri audit, the safety report and action plan.
Will you second that? Yeah, I'll second it. So Bev, Tom seconded. Item E. All in favor? The vote's unanimous.
Did you get that back?
Yeah.
Did you guys table D?
No, we
No,
voted.
oh, we forgot to
We
allow
voted and
public
debated.
comment on that.
Oh,
We voted for that, but do you have a comment you want to make?
no.
Sorry.
Too late now.
No, we accept all comments.
Are you almost done?
All right.
It's
Yeah.
my bedtime.
We are almost done.
This way you win the election, you're gonna be here talking all
Not this long.
night.
Pie.
Actually, you don't have to talk about stuff that isn't in public. It'll be done in public.
Does anybody have anything that they want to report? Director's comments?
I just have a question. Are we moving these items to the next regular meeting?
Whenever anybody wants to have them, we'll have them. If nobody wants to have them, they're just gonna disappear.
Oh, I see what you
They're
mean.
tabled.
They're
We bring them back.
tabled, and if somebody brings them back, then they appear on the next agenda. They're not gonna automatically be put there.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, good to know.
Yes, you want it?
Shay, I wish you'd keep up.
I have a comment. As everybody probably knows, we're in the process of negotiations to acquire this 600-plus acre parcel of property back here.
And how much is it going to cost us to maintain it?
And so Ron and I are been appointed by the board to handle the negotiations. And I got a call from the people that we're negotiating with that Shay had called and asked questions of them and wanted lots of documentation. And I just gotta say, we all know better than to do that. And if you need the information, we can ask them to come and do a closed session with us because it's an ongoing negotiation.
But there's no money involved.
No, these are, there.
Oh, wait, I'm
Okay,
not
so-
done
okay.
yet.
All right.
So I don't know what you wanted because
I
I'm not
asked,
done yet. I don't know what you wanted because when we had the open space and trails meeting, everything that we had, I gave to everybody that was there, including Brett. So if you need something, say it. If you want something that's still under negotiation, you can't ask for that yet. We can have a closed meeting and bring it all, and I will do that because that sounds like what you would like. But you can't go to somebody that we're in negotiations with because you were not authorized by the board to do that. And that goes for all of us. And you're the one who tells us all the time we got to follow the rules. And that's a rule.
and I do. And I did
That's a
ask
rule, and you did
3
do
or
that.
4 times of Ron Shepston for a map of the parcel and environmental restrictions that come from the TPL on the parcel that should have been given to board directors at the very first closed session, but we went away from the meeting with nothing in our hand. And that's all I asked for. And I was told,
And all that information
was
was
told-
already given to your husband at the open space meeting. So that information
No, you
was...
were gonna give it to us, you didn't have it in paper, you had it
all
on your
in-
computer.
we don't have it.
It all,
An email saying she
it all
couldn't
went
have
in
it.
Dropbox.
Isn't this what Ron
I don't have
Jepson sent
Dropbox.
you an email saying you couldn't have any information?
No,
Just in
no.
the last week or two.
No, the information that she can't have yet, nor can Tom have it, nor can Linda have it, is the actual negotiations
and that is
over-
not what I asked for. I didn't ask for anything in negotiations. I specifically said a map and environmental restrictions. I laid it out in the email and I was told no.
Well, Ron is
A map
mistaken
and
because
a-
all that information has already been released to the public, including...
But Shay just wants a copy, and Ron doesn't want
I
to send it to
didn't,
her.
I didn't
don't-
get anything.
I don't
That's all
know
she
if-
wants.
I haven't seen, so I can't comment on her and Ron's emails, but
Well, you were CC'd on it, so you did get it, actually.
I don't think I got your response. I don't remember anything from you saying, all I'm asking for is this, because that's what we've already given to the
So why don't you
public.
just give it to her?
I can? I didn't know what she wanted,
No
she didn't
way.
ask me.
I got a question. Why is it a big secret?
Which part?
Yeah.
The whole thing, every time
Negotiation.
that was brought up at a meeting, Ron would say, well, I can't talk about this, but we're in negotiations. And
We can't
you know.
talk about the negotiations, but
What are
Why
you
not?
negotiating? It's not real estate.
yes, it is real estate.
No, you're not making a bid for it, you're not buying property.
Buying it.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
what's
the
the-
attorney said this is a real estate negotiation. It doesn't matter that money doesn't change hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money is changing.
Wait, the attorney said
Money is
you
changing,
can't
yeah.
talk about it to the public?
yeah, this is a
It's your
public.
choice.
talk
I
about
could
it.
see if it was
Yeah, it's
frontage
your
road
choice.
and you didn't want the price to get into a bidding war, but they're just trying to give you land and have you take obligations, right?
Right.
So there's no reason you couldn't discuss with the public, here's the kind of liabilities we face, and I think the people in this
Yeah, we'd
room
like to know.
would love to know what kind of liabilities we may have for maintaining 700 acres. What kind of environmental history exists, and
And John, that was discussed at this open space meeting that, gosh, 4 or 5 of you in this room were at.
where's the
I didn't
record
know
so all
about.
of us can see it?
I didn't even know
To
about
find
it.
out
Can
what it's
somebody
gonna cost the
send me a map?
community, because I don't
I'll
know.
get you a map.
And
Don't worry.
environmental
I have-
restrictions from the TPL
I
that
have
come
more
with the land to
I have more
whoever the
stuff
steward
than you
is.
want.
It's not
Could
part
you
of the
post it so we
negotiations.
could all look at it?
It's not
Say Dropbox.
secret.
Okay,
It's in
perfect.
Dropbox.
Don't know.
You have to be invited, so give me your email and I'll
I've
send
act-
you
you know what,
an
I've given
Okay.
you my email 5 times, I've still not invited you to Dropbox.
Then you come to my house and I'll show you where it says you've been invited and you didn't oh,
Just
you know
put-
what?
Just
I
put
have
it,
your old email.
Oh my God.
Joanne, that's out of order. That's completely out of order.
come on, it was
You need to
empty.
leave.
No.
I'm
No,
sorry.
it was
Joanne, that was
It
horrible.
was a joke and
I don't care if it was a
empty.
joke. You
Oh
threw
my
shit.
God.
That
It
is
was a
awful.
joke. Come on now, we're all kidding around. Seriously. Did
Serious? I
hurt her?
am serious.
Did I hurt her? She's laughing. Come on now.
It's fine.
What if it was a glass bottle?
I would have thrown it.
They wouldn't let you in Angel Stadium. Yes, Brett.
I just want to say, we were talking about the transparency about the board and real estate and being that it has to be in closed session, and John saying, well, really, it doesn't have to
Well,
be.
I'm
Wait,
sorry.
let me finish my statement, please. And a perfect example of this is when the county was acquiring the school, and it was still in escrow, they had town meeting talking about what they want to do with the property, what the restrictions are on the property. They came out and had
Community
a town
input.
hall meeting.
Excuse me,
This
Brett,
board,
you were at the meeting where we talked at all that
no,
stuff.
I'm talking about you guys have been in negotiations for years.
Since 2013.
You know, it's been a couple of years,
You
and
know
we
what
had
it's
a
like
first.
working with the state?
You guys have not come out until this last open space trails meeting a month ago. And before
That's
that,
quite a few months-
when I was
quite
on
a
the
few
board,
more than a
Greg,
month
when I was
ago.
on the board, I got nothing, Greg.
There was nothing back then.
But there was something, you guys were negotiating, there was nothing brought to us. I got a phone call from outside of negotiations saying that they
Asking to
wanted
verify the
a
SMRPD.
recommendation for the board through our nonprofit. And that's when I first found out that we were even in negotiations, and I was sitting on the board.
What Brett